Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With the latest WWE edition of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, less than 2 weeks away from WWE Elimination Chamber and exactly 2 months away from WWE WrestleMania 42 to break down everything that happened across Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown as we wade into WWE's hottest period of the entire year. Vintage Chris Vanini, of course, will be along momentarily, but off the top, the Silver King does need to remind you here at Getting Over.
It's all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a 5-star rating on Apple, take a little extra time, leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. And we do appreciate all of you who have left these 5-star reviews, but it's been a couple months since we've had another one, and it being WrestleMania season and all, we know how many of you listen and we know how many reviews exist. There is a wide gulf between those two numbers. So please head over to Apple, leave that 5-star written review, get your name read on the show along with whatever comments you leave. Like I said, I'll repeat it once more. We would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show as well on YouTube. You can listen to the program. You can also watch full-length video interviews, and Silver King has submitted a list of requests coming up for WrestleMania. We're hoping to get at least 2, maybe 3 as this road winds down, so make sure you are subscribed and following us everywhere you can at Getting Overcast. Vintage, welcome to the program. An interesting, let's call it 8-day period in WWE for you and I. This past Friday, SmackDown was in Dallas. You did not attend. This coming Friday, SmackDown is going to be in Fort Lauderdale, technically Sunrise, Florida, and Silver King will be there in person. Why didn't you go to SmackDown on Friday? What's going on with you?
I didn't know it was there until I turned on the show. I don't have my eye on the WWE schedule and where they're going, and I just had missed it. And I was like, oh, shoot.
Clearly
I saw
not.
that. I wish I could have gone to that. I missed that. I missed the first TNA on AMC, which was also really close to me.
You know what?
It was the day I had.
That you missed that, though.
It was the day I had left for the national championship game, so I couldn't fit it in.
Oh, that's different. Okay.
Yeah. But two shows nearby I was unable to get to, unfortunately.
Yeah, you did not. I promise you did not miss anything with that TNA show. But SmackDown on Friday, pretty solid program, all things considered. We will cover that, of course, coming up momentarily. We have a loaded show, as we always do. And when it comes to WrestleMania season, things just get more and more jam-packed in terms of these build-outs for our shows here at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. So let's not waste any more time getting to it. We have the main event and the good, the bad, and the ugly both coming up.
But I'm afraid I've got some news.
Fewer items than last week. Nevertheless, a couple things to discuss as we get into today's show. First, Bianca Belair on Monday underwent what I believe is a third surgery on her finger following the injury suffered in the triple threat at WrestleMania 41 10 months ago. Prior surgeries did not result in the finger bending properly. And look, if she's unable to bend it and grip, then she cannot wrestle. The issue exists not with the straight part of the finger, but apparently the bones and the knuckles. And while I obviously don't have any details of her private medical situation, I'm sure everyone is hoping that this surgery gets the job done. WWE originally expected her back in the summer, hoping to build to a SummerSlam title match. When it was clear she would not be able to wrestle, that's when Naomi's creative changed and Bianca showed up, did like the special guest referee spot, made an appearance for NXT. Then they took her off TV again. And they pushed off her return until it was clear that Jade Cargill was going to win the title, figuring that they could build that match for WrestleMania. That was the idea. That was the plan. But again, Belair's finger didn't heal properly. She's not going to be cleared. Hence the SmackDown Women's Division's problems all year and the inconsistency that we've seen now still 10 months later. So we hope Bianca gets healthy as soon as possible. And I will say this. At first, those 3 to 4 months without Belair on screen, it was refreshing. Other women were getting opportunities. The division was kind of expanding a little bit. But man, oh man, has her absence been felt. It's even a greater absence, Bianca, than Liv Morgan, because there have been so many times where Liv's gotten injured, even in the middle of hot storylines, but the Raw women's division has been so stacked, they've been able to overcome that. With Belair, she was really the key centerpiece on SmackDown. And yeah, they have names like Charlotte Flair and to a degree, Tiffany Stratton and Alexa Bliss just coming back. But Bianca Belair is the straw that stirs the drink on that side of the coin. And there's no straw. And the drink hasn't been stirred because of it.
Really unfortunate. Just seems to be incredibly fluky and weird. And the women's division has struggled, but you mean the singles division?
The singles division specifically, yeah.
Yeah, which I have a thing to say about the tag division later on, but tag division is stacked, and it does feel like, kind of as you mentioned, this maybe would have been the year to do a Rhea Bianca like night one main event type of thing, because it probably ain't happening in Saudi Arabia next year.
That was the original. That was the original plan. Was Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, night one main event, WrestleMania 42.
Yeah. And it would have been great. And it's unfortunate. And obviously, creative changes because these things happen. So, man, just really hope Bianca Belair is okay and able to come back at some point. It's really unfortunate.
I know what you're saying. Next year at WrestleMania, unlikely that the women main event night one. Dude, I feel like it might be more likely. Like WWE wants to, quote, make a statement again. And that's the way they can do it. The first women's main event in however many years, 8-ish years or whatever it's been. Or it's been less than that, but regardless, it's possible. The problem is, I don't know how long you can push that off, because like, do Bianca or Rhea want children? If so, how soon, do they want to do that? Can they push it off to WrestleMania 43 and hope both of them stay healthy? Let's not forget, Rhea Ripley has had multiple injuries that have kept her out of action for extended periods of time. At some point, you just got to run the match. And this is what WWE failed to do with the Shield triple threat in terms of a WrestleMania. Obviously, they ran it at a different show. They failed to do it with the 4 horsewomen 4-way at a WrestleMania. They kept pushing it, and we'll eventually get to it. And then Sasha Banks left, and, everything kind of fell apart. So they got to run this match. Rhea Ripley's only 28. Bianca, I believe, is in her early to mid 30s. So they have time, but you want to do it while they're in their prime and at the height of their powers. And it's really got to be within the next 2 years, I would say.
For sure.
WWE announced it's going to air a tribute to AJ Styles next Monday on Raw. It was not mentioned whether Styles would be in attendance, though promoting this ahead of time, it stands to reason that something important will happen in this segment. Otherwise, why push a Styles tribute a full week in advance, and why save it for Atlanta? There's a variety of ways this can go, including like Gunther interrupting, Styles returning out of anger, goading him into rescinding his retirement for one more match at WrestleMania. It could also be Gunther leading the tribute, like what D-Generation X did for Mick Foley back in 2000, purely for heat. But that would make a lot more sense if Dragon Lee did not already return, which he did on Monday night. So I'm not sure what way they're going to go with it and whether it's going to involve Styles in person or not. But specifically putting it in Atlanta does make it interesting.
I mean, that was obviously on the schedule for a while, so it's possible that they were just always planning to do this, because Saudi Arabia was a weird place to do the retirement. And I don't know. Like, I imagine they'll turn it into something because it is wrestling and you usually need to do that. But I'm interested.
Some fans were up in arms about an announcement Tuesday morning, because fans always get up in arms about announcements, that Dude Wipes, Chris, is an official partner of WWE, but not just that. It's going to have branding on Dominic Mysterio's gear going forward when he's in the ring. For me, this is like just getting upset to get upset, because everything WWE does these days is apparently bad. Brock Lesnar's had advertising on his gear for years. Teams in every single sport, including college football, college basketball, and every college team technically can these days. They're all going this way with, corporate logo patches on jerseys. It's disgusting. It sucks. It's a visual eyesore. But to me, this pales in comparison to the Slim Jim tables and Fireball ladder. Those are the ads that actually offend me as a viewer. Having 9 ads on the ring mat as opposed to like 4 or 6, that actually hurts my enjoyment of the product visually. Putting a patch on someone's gear, it doesn't matter whatsoever as far as I'm concerned. It's an eye roll more than anything else. They're shoving all this stuff down our throats. And I want to also point out to everyone, because I promise you that this is true. If AEW had higher ratings and a larger presence, you would see this shit all over their broadcasts as well. The difference is companies don't think they can make the same amount of money from promotions through AEW as they do with WWE. Same thing with NFL and NBA and MLB and college football and basketball. You're not going to see, these types of jersey patches as frequently on college baseball teams as you're going to see them on college football teams, as an example. So again, there's a lot of things to get upset about in wrestling these days. To me, this is not one of them.
No, it's to me, this was nothing. What was a bigger problem was on that SmackDown had what felt like the most amount of ads I've ever seen on a ring mat before.
It was funny enough, it was equal. I was going to mention it in a little bit, but it was equal. It was 9 ads on the mat, the exact same as Raw. But the difference was, I think, I'd have to go back and look. I think all of the ads were black and white on a blue mat so that colors didn't clash, whereas the Raw mat's black and everything's in color. And there were only 3 sponsors. 4 of the 9 spots were actually the WrestleMania logo, if you looked close enough. So you're like, why are you shoving your own logo onto it and making the mat look cluttered when it could just be clean and have the ads that are being paid for on there?
It was so noticeable that I actually did write it down in my notes. That putting it on, Dominic Mysterio doesn't have iconic ring gear. This isn't The Undertaker coming out with an ad. I don't care about that. I've never used Dude Wipes. I've always thought about it, but they continue to grow. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, it's this weird product because they're trying to suggest that other wipes that exist aren't for dudes. Like, I use the Cottonelle wipes. And by the way, any of these wipes, Cottonelle, Dude Wipes, do not throw them in your toilet. Put them in the garbage. And I know that sounds disgusting.
Yes.
But it's only supposed to be remnants that are left on them
That's
anyway.
why I didn't cross. That's why I haven't crossed the line to use them, was for that reason.
Well, I'll tell you this.
I don't know.
If we're talking about bathroom stuff here on the podcast, I'll say this. I am seriously considering a bidet. Like, everyone says a bidet is the way to go. You don't know what you're doing. There's a reason everyone in Europe uses them. I'm like, and
they had them when
Asia.
I was in Italy in the hotel.
Did you use it?
Yes.
And
I was like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. It is in some ways it's more work. You have to because I had to think about it, but
and then you have to dry yourself, obviously.
Right.
But did you find that it got you cleaner?
Yes.
Yeah, man, I feel like the bidet is the way to go. I don't know, but point is, Silver King's been using Cottonelle wipes for a long time, and I like it clean back there. I don't know about others. So it's funny to me because you look at the Dude Wipes, and they are so much more expensive than the Cottonelle wipes for no good reason that I can tell, at least. So I have never bought them. I don't feel like the need to have something that says Dude in a black packaging while I'm wiping my ass. It's just a wipe as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if it says baby wipes on it. I'll still use it. It doesn't really matter to me. Regardless, new sponsor of WWE and a concept I endorse, not the product. They don't sponsor this show, so they don't get that seal of approval from the Silver King. But hey, maybe a bidet's in the future. Yeah, I'm getting convinced more and more.
If any bidets want to sponsor us, please reach out.
Isn't there something called what's it? Toto Toilet? If you are, I've heard these toilets are incredible. They have built-in bidets and shit. If anyone listening to this show is a marketing person with Toto Toilet, hit up Silver King and Vintage. We will take that sponsorship and we will praise your product right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Chris, speaking of shit, Ronda Rousey is returning to athletic competition, doing an MMA fight with, get this, Gina Carano, who hasn't fought in 17 years. Rousey hasn't won a fight in 11 years, a legitimate fight. Unsurprisingly, this is being put on by Jake Paul's MVP promotion. It's going to air on Netflix. It's set for 5 rounds. This shit is going to be shorter than Carano's acting career, if it's even the least bit legit. Rousey should murk her in 30 to 60 seconds with an armbar. This is going to be a travesty. I can't believe it's happening. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Surprised neither of them would instead do the UFC White House fight and instead this, but I assume Jake Paul and maybe Netflix are paying them a bunch of money to do it. My other thought was Ronda Rousey has talked about how bad her physical health was, like in her career, like she'd get hit and go blind was a quote she said. Is that going to get approved by a commission to do that?
Dude, I don't know. I thought I saw a quote where she said like she had her first concussion at like 6 years old and how every time she competes now she gets one. And it's like, how are you going to get in an octagon or whatever shape this thing's going to be? with Carano. Now I have to assume the thought process here is that Carano is literally nothing. So Rousey should immediately, just by muscle memory, kick her ass. If she does any type of training camp, she's going to murder her. So I presume that's where she's coming from. But you're right. She went real deep in interviews and in her book about her brain-related issues. And I don't know how she gets clearance for this, but they're booking it. This would never happen on that card, just simply because of Carano primarily. But even more than that, while Rousey seems to always have a great relationship with Dana White and UFC and the whole 9 yards, I mean, I don't know who she could compete with that would be legitimate, these days. It's one of the questions people have about Conor McGregor coming back, but at least McGregor's fought more recently than Rousey. So
I mean, maybe UFC wouldn't clear her, and that's part of it.
That could be part of it too. Very, very possible. As I mentioned, or as you mentioned, actually, SmackDown debuted that new ring mat, but nothing else changed other than really the logos. It was still blue. I thought on Friday night it was a tight show, one that is continuing to progress toward a higher level of quality. They definitely turned a corner from 2025 into 2026. It makes Fridays much less frustrating to watch. And as you and I opined on the show, that third hour just seems to really help SmackDown for some reason. Raw on Monday night, it was again solid. As I said last week, it feels like Raw is declining while SmackDown is improving, and they're meeting at this middle ground of above average as opposed to both being great, which Raw was for large swaths of 2025. Multiple stars being out with injury, it's definitely factoring into that for Raw. The Memphis crowd was rough. That's always the case, though. In Memphis, they're never that good, especially compared to Dallas, which is always pretty damn good, and they were on Friday. So TV this week, above average, real solid, not sitting here and saying it was great by any means. And we definitely have had great weeks of WWE TV late in 2025 and early in 2026.
I thought SmackDown was a really hot show. Like, a lot of things happened that were exciting. Crowd was into it. Important things, stakes. Like, it felt like they went all out on this episode of SmackDown. So you're right. SmackDown has been getting better. And Raw is very hit and miss depending on kind of who's available on the show.
Yeah, not having regular Rhea Ripley, Io Sky moments on the show because they're doing a lot of wrestling on SmackDown and competing over there too. It is hurting the show. The women's division not getting as much time as it was previously is hurting the show. And
no Roman Reigns.
And the women who are taking the time, like, there's a lot of time being given to Maxine Dupree, Natty, and AJ Lee. And when you look at the rest of the roster, Bayley, Lyra Valkyria, you're like, why aren't they wrestling? I know Bayley wrestled Monday, but like, why isn't Lyra Valkyria regularly in matches? Why isn't Kairi Sane and Asuka always on the show every single week? And when the replacements are Maxine Dupree and Natty is what I'm trying to say. And there's nothing against Natty, obviously. This Loki Legend character is better than the prior one. And Maxine is doing better than she was previously. But this is the type of stuff that you run in the fall into the winter, getting away, when you're past SummerSlam and you need to kind of build some new people up. It's not really the stuff you should be running on the road to WrestleMania, but that's nevertheless what WWE is doing. So that was the news of the week. Before we get into the rest of the show, Silver King does need to remind you here at Getting Over,
I happen to love the number 5.
and I hope you do as well, because for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover, sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. We posted a big article on Friday about WrestleMania 42 struggles, both from a financial standpoint, ticket sales, creative, the whole 9 yards. We went into depth on it. If you have not read it yet or you're not subscribing, you really should. And you can be exactly like Brian, no last name attached, who is our newest buymeacoffee.com/gettingover member, purchasing a full year subscription. Brian, we greatly appreciate your support and we acknowledge you.
Acknowledge.
Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
All right, Chris, it is time for us to break down everything that happened on screen in the world of WWE this week. And we're going to kick it off, as we always do, by sliding into the main event.
This is the main event.
Outside his tour bus, Cody Rhodes backstage on SmackDown said he's 2 matches away from main eventing WrestleMania, and no one should bet against him anywhere, but especially in Dallas, Von Erich country. There was also a whole Cody Jacob Fatu video package promoting a triple threat match, but it was a package focused on two dudes. Fatu later got a promo package talking about people calling him unpredictable and a real-life criminal. He said he's been written off and he's not even supposed to be there, but he's winning this match because he's been locked up before and he knows what that'll be like in the chamber. The only difference being there's going to be a WrestleMania sign that he can point at when he wins. This was easily the best promo of Jacob's WWE career. Not only did it do base level explaining of his character, it allowed him to kind of control his own narrative. And the visualization of jail versus the chamber with the WrestleMania sign, I thought that was pretty damn cool. Strong all around for what I'd say was a really concrete build to the main event. Sami Zayn had a segment too. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I really liked what we got from Jacob specifically on the build to the main event.
Agreed. This whole episode did a really good job of building to that main event. And it already was going to be a big one because of the guys who were in it. Mm-hmm. But they put in the extra effort to give you more reason to care.
Yeah, they told you this isn't just a qualifier. It's not just a main event match. This is a special triple threat, and you need to pay attention for all these reasons. And that's what they kept building as the show progressed. Drew McIntyre cut a short promo backstage saying Randy Orton can't win the big one anymore. LA Knight is a catchphrase merchant. Cody has no shot getting back at him for WrestleMania, and Jacob has a great chance in the Elimination Chamber considering his experience behind bars. But if he fought him, he'd make him wish he was back in jail. Sami interrupted before his name came out of Drew's mouth, assuming that McIntyre was going to shit-talk him for being winless in their feud. Instead, McIntyre completely turned it on him, saying he respected Zayn for being the only one to give him a chance against Rhodes, and that Sami has continued to work hard and actually deserves to earn himself another opportunity. That completely threw Zayn for a loop right before he entered first for the main event match. Really well done here. McIntyre as champion should not have been absent from the show, especially with these three all fighting, and he continued his momentum from last week on the mic in this segment. Obviously, the part with Zayn was particularly intriguing. This was actually the second straight week that Drew showed respect and refused to talk down to Sami. It has me a bit concerned that, somehow, some way, we're going to get them in a non-title match at WrestleMania. I know that doesn't make any sense because McIntyre is champion. Otherwise, I have no idea what exactly they are doing continuing to build up their storyline this year. If it was 12 months from now and we're talking about a WrestleMania coming up, okay, that would make a lot more sense. But I guess we're going to have to see where this goes with Sami.
I have some thoughts, but I'll save them for after the match.
Okay, so we had Cody, Jacob, and Sami in the Elimination Chamber qualifier. This appropriately main evented, as we already said. Fatu hit a springboard moonsault on Zayn before escaping Crossroads. Then he broke a cover with a senton, got the crowd going with a hip attack, a gyration move, and a pop-up Samoan drop. Cody and Sami teamed up for a double superplex. Zayn caught Rhodes running for a tight window exploder suplex and actually got booed. That happened a couple times during the match, by the way. Fatu stopped Helluva Kick with a super kick, then completely missed the same on Rhodes. Sami kicked Jacob in the back of the head as he again tried that handspring move before Cody blocked Blue Thunderbomb, only for Sami to counter a Cody Cutter into a Blue Thunderbomb for a false finish. Jacob completely avoided Helluva Kick in the corner. Zayn stopped the Uso Splash with double knees, immediately rolling into a small package for another near fall. Rhodes caught Zayn with a double jump Cody Cutter, only to get thrown out of the ring by Fatu, who hit what seems to be called the Mighty Moonsault, only for McIntyre to run in with a Claymore and break the fall. He threw Fatu into the ring post and over the announce table. Rhodes got involved rather than capitalize on Zayn, only to get thrown into the post himself. McIntyre then powerbombed Fatu through the table and Claymored Rhodes. He dragged Zayn on top of his dead body, but the referee was completely out of the ring, running in late for a delayed count, shoulder lift, false finish. So Drew, who was halfway down the ramp thinking the shit was over, he ran back in to beat on Cody, only to take a Helluva Kick in the corner. Cody did what he did not before. He capitalized on the distraction that was created by McIntyre. He pulled Sami out of the corner for Crossroads and got the win, advancing as expected into Elimination Chamber. This was the expected result. It was not the expected match booking or finish. Pretty damn clever. 4 stars A- for this match. The Cody kick out after the Claymore, it was crazy until you remember he's kicked out of 100 finishers from John Cena and Roman Reigns. Then you just nod and say, okay, that makes sense. It does seem like WWE is setting up this triple threat, if not a 4-way for Mania. Though again, Zayn does not deserve to be in that match. The question is, how do you create at least a triple threat with a chamber winner? I suppose Cody wins, but Jacob gets his way into the match, which is why they did it that way. Rhodes trying to get into the match after not winning chamber would have made him look a lot weaker. That's not really his character. Anyway, this was an excellent main event. It had the crowd standing for large portions. It was interesting to hear Sammy legitimately booed. And man, I am telling you, running a storyline with Zayn, now further depressed because he didn't get out of his own way and take the win, coupled with recognition that the fans are turning on him, that is the way to go. Keep him out of WrestleMania. He should not even be on this show. This might have been the only way I could truly stomach a Cody win. I legitimately wanted Jacob in the chamber match, but this does create a lot of questions. And that's always positive in professional wrestling.
Man, this was an awesome finish to the show. Like, the crowd was going nuts. I was excited. Like, again, just for a Elimination Chamber qualifier, they put so many stories into this. And I think now coming out of this, we are going to Fatal 4-Way. I don't know how you come up with a way to keep any one of these four out. They all have their own beef with Drew. It feels like it makes a lot of sense. And that could be the way you end up having Sami Zayn win if you don't think you can go another year with it. Cody pinning Sammy, of all things, and like getting the win that way. It's not a heel way to win, but it's not the babyface way to win either. Basically taking advantage of Sami Zayn defending them and then pinning him was like, woo. It coupled with the fans were kind of booing, like you said. Like, I'll believe a Cody heel turn happens when I see it, but they keep laying these little things out where you could almost see something like that happen. I don't like Cody's going to the chamber, and that's makes sense. He's the biggest star. You put him in. I don't see. I find it very hard to see a way we don't have a fatal 4-way between these guys, because it's become a really, really good and heated story. Like, I want to see that.
It has been, but you cannot justify Sammy being in that match. He lost.
Well, you come up with some way for him to win his way in.
I can't accept it. He lost squeaky clean to Drew at the Royal Rumble and got his ass kicked in that match. That's loss one. And by the way, he's already lost to him now 12 times. Number two, Cody just pinned him in an Elimination Chamber qualifier. So not only can he not win Chamber, he got pinned in the qualifying match. And even if you do put Sammy in this somehow, if you make it justifiable, he cannot win. Not this year. Not given what I just told you happened. You have to build him up where there's fan support and sentiment behind you. And unless you're going to turn him heel at WrestleMania, and that's how he's going to win the title, and I don't know how you turn him heel unless he specifically turns on Cody. That's the only way you could make it work, because Drew is a heel and Jacob's kind of a tweener, all things considered. I see no way he should be in the match, logically, and certainly not win the title if he somehow makes it in. To me, out of every outcome, that would be the worst.
Well, we know Drew wants him in. Like, that was another, like, Drew trying to give
because he knows
Sammy
he can beat
the
him.
Win. Right, which is what I had said a couple weeks ago after, I don't remember what it was, but I had made the case that Drew wants Sammy to win because he knows he can beat him. And then they just stated that plainly.
But you can't have this guy lose 12 times to McIntyre, including at the Royal Rumble on the road to WrestleMania, not qualify, let alone not win the chamber, and then go into WrestleMania and win the championship again, unless it's a heel turn. And if you do that, it makes sense. But I don't think you want the moment Sammy finally wins the WWE championship to be as a heel.
No, the way again, I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, or even the right way to do it, but they absolutely can do it. Where somehow Drew wants him in the match because he doesn't think he's a threat. You go into the match where all three of them don't think Sammy is much of a threat and none of them take him seriously, and he becomes your underdog going into the match, and then he wins it there. The guy that Drew McIntyre got into the match is the guy who pins him or something like that. Like, I'm just saying, I think it's very much on the table, is what I'm saying.
It's plausible based on the story they're telling. It is scaring me that is a possibility. That's pretty much where I'm standing here. What would be most interesting coming out of this match on Friday night is if Nick Aldis actually punished McIntyre for his interference and put him in the chamber with his title on the line. If you think about it, that is the best way to get to the WrestleMania triple threat or four-way if it's the end goal. You have Fatu break in and cost Rhodes during the match. McIntyre retains through the chamber, so he has a clean win over Sammy. He has a chamber victory with the title, which is enough for him to, have a solid title reign. And then you have Aldis say, hey man, congratulations on winning chamber. You got some help. You're still going to have to defend this title at WrestleMania. Cody and Jacob are fighting you. It's a triple threat, maybe Sammy as well, to your point. It also takes away a number one contendership from the chamber as we have repeatedly insisted, would be positive. That is the way you book this. You figure out a way, you make it a 7-man chamber, and you put McIntyre's title on the line rather than a number 1 contendership. It makes the match more interesting, it makes WrestleMania more interesting, and it cleans up all the booking.
And he's been interfering in every match. Like, all this would be well within his right to do it. Yeah.
Precisely. So that is the main men's storyline from SmackDown. Let's move over and talk about the exact same thing from Raw. CM Punk opened hour 2, comparing fighting Finn Balor to playing a regular season game after already qualifying for the playoffs. And I understood, Chris, what he was going for there. It's not the same thing, because if you already qualify for the playoffs, okay, you could theoretically still be playing for positioning, but you're not defending your spot in the playoffs. And he's defending his title against Finn Balor. If this was a non-title match, that would be an okay comparison, but it's not.
Right. Well, CM Punk has to turn everything into a sports reference. So yeah, there you go.
He said the fans deserve a fighting champion, and Balor deserved his World Heavyweight Championship shot in Belfast. But this time he didn't deserve the opportunity. He earned it by jumping him. Balor interrupted with his edited original theme and older graphics. There were only hints of Judgment Day on the Titantron. After a pause, Dominic Mysterio and a returning JD McDonough, glad he's back, followed him to the ring, surrounding Shield style, which commentary neither noticed nor mentioned. Balor said they weren't there to fight. He just wanted to make something clear. He's been the best in the world because he trained with the best catch wrestlers in Europe, the best luchadors in Mexico, and the best out of the dojos in Japan. Balor reminded he beat Roman Reigns on his first night in WWE, that is a fact, saying beating Punk and winning the title won't jeopardize the main event of WrestleMania. He'll just make it better. Punk said that's who Balor used to be, but he's been weighed down by Judgment Day rather than lifting them up. Punk shot at Dom for never defending his titles and mocked JD for his huge head that led to a pretty weak bobblehead chant from the fans. Punk then turned his back, giving them a chance to jump him unless Balor wants to prove he is indeed the best in the world and fight him clean, healthy, one-on-one. When they didn't attack, Punk literally threw his mic and hit Balor in the chest and walked out. The only part of this segment that didn't hit was the crowd's lack of response to Balor running down his accolades and puffing out his chest. That's a consequence of how he's been booked on the main roster the last few years. Yep. WWE has killed his aura and the belief of the fan base that he can be at this world championship level. But in front of a better crowd, if he did this in Dallas or New York, that would have gotten a much better response. This was composed well, though, and it set the stage for Balor to prove that he can be what he claims going up against Punk in less than 2 weeks. I just dislike the whole putting the main event in jeopardy part, because again, by saying that, you're automatically making any non-WrestleMania title match on the road feel less important, and you're also putting Balor underneath Punk, saying he'd be a lesser person in the main event. Now, we know that's true based on the way WWE has booked him and, of course, how big of a star Punk is. But you shouldn't be saying that as part of the promo. If Adam Pearce wants to say it, hey, you're jeopardizing this main event that we're already promoting as someone from corporate, he can say that. Punk shouldn't be saying it.
Agreed. I think just the biggest thing is, like you said, nobody believes that Finn's going to win this. He hasn't done anything for a while to give us a reason to. You can hype up everything he did in the past, but a lot of today's WWE fans don't even know that past. Either the first time he won the Universal Championship or going back to Bullet Club and all that stuff. So it is a tough thing to sell. I thought this was fine. It's good to see JD back. I'm glad that Finn used his the old entrance. He should go back to that permanently. It's good. It gets people into it. And, you know, it is what it is. They're trying to give you a reason to think Finn could win, but we all know Finn can't win. And part of the reason we know that is because we live in the Unreal era where we know how these decisions are actually made.
Not only that, he doesn't win. He doesn't win matches on television. If you want to build someone up into a legitimate number one contender, then Finn Balor needs to be out there clean, beating Penta and El Grande Americano and John Evans. And like, he needs to beat people on this roster so that you say, wow, you know, he's won 8 straight matches and he's beaten some really talented dudes. And then they can show us video clips of Balor with the NXT title and his incredible match with Shinsuke Nakamura and this, and this.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, wow, like Balor's an actual threat. But to your point, what most fans, not most, but many WWE fans these days know of Balor is the guy that we've seen for the last 8 years, which is someone who holds mid-card titles and tag team championships and loses a bunch. And you can't just you can't turn someone back into a main eventer overnight. It takes a while.
No. They told the good story when it was Finn versus Seth at SummerSlam in Detroit a couple of years ago when I was there.
Mhm.
Like they had built you up to, they had told you his story and built up the.
He
belief
should have
that
won
could.
there.
But
We talked
WWE
about that.
he should have. Yep, and everybody there felt it.
Mhm.
And it has WWE has kind of gotten back into a problem where people only interact with the people they're in a story in. And it creates that problem where you don't have people racking up wins outside their story that then helps build that story. That was
Right.
something that was very good in the Triple H era early on when he took over,
Mhm.
was everything felt connected. But now Finn's only ever doing one thing, and it's talking with CM Punk and talking with Judgment Day and not having these other things. And it makes the show feel less alive, and it gives you less of a reason to believe in Finn. And on Raw and SmackDown. Lots of rematches, lots of people just sticking to the same stories.
To your point, like Balor could have been coming out of this promo, or let's say last week's promo, and Jay sees him backstage and laughs at him. Man, you ain't win shit. You know, like, what are you talking about? You're the greatest. And he goes, all right, really, Jay? That's what you want? You want the smoke? All right, let's go. And then they fight, and Balor beats him clean. And then you go, oh, wait, shit. He just beat someone who held the World Heavyweight Championship this year. And that is the way you build a main event or someone back into a main event. They wasted 2 opportunities to rehab Balor. First, the Roman Reigns match, the Act of God finish when he was the demon. You know, they had, 3 opportunities they ruined. That one, he should have beat, obviously, Edge at Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. Apparently, that was a changed plan by Vince McMahon at the last minute. But he should have won that match. I can't
believe that happened.
Unbelievable. One of the worst pieces of booking, or one of the worst match booking decisions in WWE over the last 5 years. Maybe the worst, actually. You could make an argument about that. He should have won that, and then he should have beat Seth Rollins one-on-one. They had 3 different chances to reestablish him as a main eventer. They didn't take any of them, and now they're telling us, no, this guy's a main eventer, trust us. And it's like, some of us believe that. I believe that. Silver King knows. But a lot of people who are watching this product that don't have even the NXT history of Balor don't think of him that way. And I appreciate that they're putting him in this position. As a fan of his, I love that he's getting a title match at Elimination Chamber in Chicago. I love that he got the match with Punk in Belfast. Hopefully this is a great moment, just like that one was. And hopefully this match is even better wrestled than that one was. And that helps reestablish him in an upper mid-card or main eventer type of role. But going into this, it's extremely difficult to see him in that light when they've done nothing to make us believe he deserves to be there. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. Balor and McDonough later got into an argument in the Judgment Day clubhouse, with JD suggesting he wants to help Finn win the title, but Balor insisting that the best thing he can do is just leave him to his own devices. The whole time this was happening, Dom was pleading with them to calm down because he had his Elimination Chamber qualifier scheduled and he wanted them ringside with him. They split up and went in different directions, and of course, they ultimately did not accompany him. This was the most intensity that they've shown together in quite some time from the men's side of this faction. Dom noticing that he's no longer like the most important man, that was crucial considering what is happening with Finn. And JD did really well working with his guy, arguing back and forth. He showed more gumption than we've probably seen from him in his entire main roster career. This was a real nice setup segment, not just for the main event of the show, but for Balor, McDonough, Judgment Day possibly splitting, and really everything that's going on.
Yeah, it was weird for JD to come back and have Finn's back and then immediately be in an argument with him. But I think it does show the further cracks within the Judgment Day that we feel are eventually coming. Yeah.
It made sense, though, because he came back to get Balor's back. And then Balor wouldn't let him do that in the ring. He held him back. He said, no, don't do that. I said back like 17 times there, but you get the point I'm making. So the main event was Javon, Evans, Gunther, and Dom in an Elimination Chamber qualifier. Gunther straight chopped Javon as he was doing his seated bounce on the top rope. So Evans splashed him over the ring post, knocking him into the timekeeper's area. Dom stole the bell hammer during the break, placed it on the steel steps, not hiding it at all. Javon landed a bottom rope springboard tornado spin kick straight out of Street Fighter, only to get Dom powerbombed into him by Gunther. Evans countered a powerbomb into a Hurricanrana trap cover, only to take a lariat and a monster powerbomb for a false finish. Javon landed red dot on Dom, only to take a chop to the back from Gunther. Then he flipped out of a German suplex and landed a Bazaiku knee for a broken fall. Gunther got knees up to block a frog splash, took a flying crossbody from Evans coming back. Javon missed a high risk, escaped a sleeper hold with a cutter, only for Gunther to catch OG Cutter into a sleeper. Dom broke that with a frog splash, but took a lariat trying the 619. So he grabbed the hammer. Gunther found it in his possession. As he did, Dragon Lee returned, flew off the barricade with a ring belt right to Gunther's dome. He did not get the pop one would have expected from him coming back, because he did last time they fought, especially because most of the crowd was standing at this point in the match. Dom back in the ring, landed a 619 on Javon, but Evans avoided a frog splash and hit an OG cutter where he looked like he jumped off a trampoline on the top rope to land this move. And he advanced to Elimination Chamber. Hell effing yeah. Hell effing yeah, man.
Oh! Yes! I love that!
This kid is single-handedly dropping the average age of the men's chamber match by like 6 years. The visual of this bout with the size and age differential, it looked like a father abusing his children in a good way. And then having Javon come out on top, not only pinning the Intercontinental Champion, but effectively beating Gunther too. That's the type of fresh booking we've been yearning to see. Evans was a decently predictable winner. Gunther taking a fall in the chamber would not have made much sense, and Dragon needed to get his lick back, but it was nevertheless a believe it when I see it type of deal. Like, I'll believe Javon is going to be in the chamber when he actually qualifies for the chamber. Credit to Paul Levesque and Creative for going with the hot hand in a match that needed juice and needed youth. Javon should at least get one fall, and he should survive for a decent portion of the bout. He can shine just like we've seen previously from John Morrison and Montez Ford. He's obviously not going to win as crazy and attractive as Javon Evans and Drew McIntyre might be at WrestleMania. Beyond all of that, this was the WWE match of the week. It rocked. Gunther got to flash his dominance. Evans impressed time and again, no matter who he was fighting, either of the heels. Dom got some work in coming back from injury. He's plenty ahead of him on the road to WrestleMania. And it made for a great main event too, even if the crowd was a bit strange. 4 stars, A-.
We know Javon Evans is definitely going to hit a cutter off of the top of the
Top
of the cage, right?
Has
like
to.
It feels like that's set
maybe
up
a
to
frog
happen.
splash also, but definitely a cutter.
Yeah, or a frog splash. Could be one of those. No, it had to happen. You had to have, every chamber has some people you don't think they're going to win, but they bring a lot of excitement. Wrestling is always like, you need some quick twitch guys to create the movement in the match. And that's what Javon Evans is going to do. I was with you on like Gunther could win, but there's no way he would get pinned in the chamber, so probably don't do that. So
I mean, look, sorry to interrupt you. If they want to give us Gunther McIntyre, okay. Like, I'm not complaining about that. That'd be incredible, but I don't think we're going to get that.
I would have wanted that. What I wanted is Gunther wins this, Gunther wins the chamber, Gunther pins McIntyre and is your champion.
Yeah.
Like that's what it should be, but I know it's not going to happen.
Right.
So doing it another way around it, good to know Dom is back and healthy and wrestling and good, because he'd been out for a bit. The only thing I don't like here is the Gunther Dragon Lee stuff. It's just like, it's Dragon Lee, man. Like, Gunther was just dealing with John Cena and AJ Styles, and now he's on Dragon Lee. And I know Triple H loves him some Dragon Lee. And the reaction from the crowd is hit and miss. Sometimes when they let him go long in a match, the crowd gets into it. But like, I think it's still hard for people to wait, is that Dragon Lee? Is that Ray Fenix? Is that somebody else? He doesn't have a character really. And if Gunther moving into a brief Dragon Lee thing is kind of annoying, but I've been annoyed kind of where he's been placed overall. Still don't know his Mania plans, so I'm curious. Still don't know where that's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, WWE hasn't given us specific reason to care for Dragon, and even here, it's been because he was AJ Styles' partner. So I disagree that it's a downgrade. I mean, it's a natural downgrade for him to go from John Cena and AJ Styles to anybody. Like, unless it's Rey Mysterio or Randy Orton, it's a natural downgrade. So he has to take that step down. It makes sense logically for Dragon to be angry that his recent partner is now retired because of Gunther. So him going at Gunther, especially for mocking Styles, which he did on Raw 2 weeks ago, I want to say, it makes sense. So logically, I have no issue with it. I agree with you that like seeing Gunther beat Dragon is kind of a eye roll, because there's no chance Dragon's going to win. Maybe it's setting up Rey Mysterio for WrestleMania, where like he beats Dragon and keeps attacking him after the match, so Rey saves. And I can't imagine a world in which Gunther retires Rey Mysterio rather than Dominic. It would be such a freaking mistake to do that.
Yeah.
But I could see Legend versus up and coming career killer be a match for WrestleMania. That is plausible. I still believe the Brock Lesnar match is the one for Gunther. Like, that's the one that needs to happen. Obafemi is obviously an option. I don't think they could build up Royce Keys enough, because they haven't put him on TV in any way.
Like WrestleMania for Gunther. This guy just retired John Cena and
That's what I'm
AJ
saying.
Styles.
Brock Lesnar for me is the move. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, my problem has been like Gunther should be positioned at the top of the company if you're going to do that, and they don't.
Well, I think
also,
he's going to be in 2026. They're just not going to do it for WrestleMania specifically, which is okay.
Yeah, which is strange to me. But anyway, by the way, I'm watching WrestleMania 19 as we talk, and Rey Mysterio is fighting Matt Hardy in this, and it's like Rey Mysterio was a legend at this point in 2003. And he's
you know what?
Going. It's crazy.
You know what a lot of people forget too? They're like, as we're building this WrestleMania card, as they're building this WrestleMania card, like, I don't think X person would be a great opponent for this person at WrestleMania. When you look at some of these WrestleMania cards from the past, like, why the hell is Rey Mysterio fighting Matt Hardy
for the Cruiserweight Championship
when there's so many other people, even on that roster back then, that would have made a more intriguing, better, more hyped match for Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania of all shows? You want to do Rey Mysterio and Matt Hardy at No Way Out or Armageddon? Okay, fine. But it's WrestleMania. My point is, when you go through some of these WrestleMania cards, it is not 14 banger matches, no-brainer feuds. There's some of them.
No.
There's some of them, but a lot of it is just whatever happened to be going on in the company at the time.
There's a lot of matches from last year I forgot happened.
Oh, dude, if you asked me to recite the whole card from last year, I could get maybe 8 of 14, I would say.
Yeah, and I try not to do that all the time. I only say it here because of what Gunther has done over the last 6 to 9 months.
Yeah. Sorry.
You gave him once in a lifetime thing. Are you building off of that enough?
Right. I'm not concerned about the Dragon Lee of it all. It depends what he does at WrestleMania, though. He needs to have a marquee match on that show. Whether it's, again, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, whomever. I don't think, to your point, I don't think they can put Obafemi in that spot immediately, because if it's Obafemi, he's going to have to lose. And that doesn't make any sense. Obafemi, Brock Lesnar would make sense. But Obafemi, Gunther would not. But you're right. Whatever it is for Mania, it needs to be substantial. But there's plenty of time. There's literally 2 whole months, 8 more Raws before WrestleMania. They can figure it out for Gunther. What I'm confused about coming out of this from Monday night is what's happening with Dominic at WrestleMania. It seems there are 2 equal directions for his Intercontinental Championship. Defending against Balor or defending against Evans. Both of them were set up Monday night. The Finn situation has been obvious, I thought, for a while, but Javon now has a clean dub over Dom. I can see Evans factoring into another match on the show, but winning the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania age 21, or he might actually turn 22 right before that, that would be huge for him. I don't know where Balor fits into WrestleMania if it's not for that title as a babyface. So that's why I'm so confused. About this.
I would like a triple threat, the 3 Judgment Day guys. As Judgment Day breaks up, that's what you do. And that's the end of Judgment Day right there, is that match.
McDonough's the tweener, Balor's the face, Dominic's the heel.
Well, Balor's not a face, but...
Well, they'd make him one, is what I'm saying.
Something like that, yeah.
All right, well, that was the main event for this week. And we still have a ton to break down from Raw and SmackDown. Before we get to that, Silver King does need to tell you that whether it is Raw or SmackDown or NXT... or premium live events like Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania, Silver King and Vintage are all in with NordVPN. It is easy to set up a drastically better viewing experience every night. You get the same high-quality streams, except they become commercial-free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover, open the app, quick connect to another country like the United Kingdom, open Netflix, and watch the program. It is literally that simple. NordVPN also allows you to get around online censorship or surveillance, protect your private data when web browsing. Plus, one account can be used on 10 different devices. To get the best discount, go to nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan. And there's no risk because Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee. So improve your WWE viewing, save money, browse safer online, and get the best discount for the best VPN at nordvpn.com/gettingover. We love having NordVPN as the official singular sponsor of your boys right here at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. As mentioned, there is still the vast majority of Raw and SmackDown to discuss from this week, Chris, and we're going to do exactly that by covering the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says 1 more for the good guy.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
Now, the order of operations for this Good, Bad, and Ugly might seem a bit strange to some of you, but it'll all make sense. We're going in basically referential order to the main event and then things that were important coming out of that. Rey Fenix fought Trick Williams. Zayn gassed up Fenix for his match backstage, then apologized for not responding to him last week, appreciating the belief that Rey put in Sammy. It's such a random pairing, but it's kind of interesting the way they interact with each other. The crowd popped so huge for Williams' entrance, it may well have been the pop of the entire night. He grabbed the mic and did a Booker T ad-lib to the song as it was going on. He got cheered like a babyface. Trick said Sammy can't get the job done. He's got Skechers on his feet. He doesn't comb his hair, and his breath smells like ass. I mean, tell me when he's telling lies. He said Zayn will get eaten alive if he keeps moping around, and he had a top-tier line, quote, "When people go to the zoo, they don't want to see a squirrel do a flip. They want to see a lion like me. Talk your talk, dog." Then he spoke about qualifying for Elimination Chamber next week and started ranting on Fenix to end it. Trick is over like Rover Man. The charisma has translated even better than I expected it would on the main roster. Williams finally hit one of his big hooking kicks in the match, adding a nice backbreaker and jumping neckbreaker later. He did a wind-up backhand, a literal pimp slap, what is apparently now being called the Trick slap.
Where's the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
Before Fenix literally rebounded with a spin kick, some of his signatures, a froggy crossbody, and a regular frog splash for a false finish. He added a massive splash from the top rope outside, then stood on the ring post for a double stomp to the back of Trick's neck as he was seated on the top rope for another false finish. All it took was an inventive avoidance sequence with both guys bouncing off the ropes and Williams landing Trick shot out of nowhere for the escape victory. Credit to Trick for continuing to sell real well after the bell. He was stumbling around in celebration. Williams got straight babyface booking here. Fenix kicked his ass, but he did not relent. I legitimately thought Fenix was winning after that double stomp out of the post. In reality, it should have ended the match, and fans thought it was going to. It was kind of ridiculous that Trick kicked out of it, but Rey couldn't kick out of the stupid Trick shot, one of the bottom 10 finishers in major pro wrestling right now. But Fenix sold it like absolute death. And this match was great when it came to showing that Williams can work a faster pace style and he can sell well for a babyface, which he did all match long. I completely understand that Trick has the momentum and the fan support and will probably be in Elimination Chamber, but there's nothing wrong with me wanting WWE to actually put Penta and Fenix over in matches like this. 3.75 stars, B+, good.
Put them over, but put them over together as a team. Trick Williams is crazy over, so much so that fans in an unrelated segment over on Raw were chanting, "Whoop that Trick."
Oh, don't make me correct you. Don't make me correct you on the show, Chris. So I'm sorry. The reason why they chanted that is because Raw on Monday night was in Memphis. Okay. And "Whoop that Trick," the chant, comes.
Yes, I know that's where it comes from. Yes, I know.
They weren't chanting for Trick Williams. They were just chanting for someone to beat their ass.
But I'm saying, do you think they're doing that if Trick Williams is not in
Yes,
WWE?
because they've done it before. Yes.
All right, that's fair.
And just so everyone gets the rest of the explanation before you continue with your take on this, "Whoop That Trick" is a song from the movie Hustle and Flow, which is about a rapper DJ who's based in Memphis. And "Whoop That Trick," the true definition of it is beat that prostitute. I mean, that's what it means. That's what he's saying in the song. Now, in WWE parlance, there's a comma, and this is where we get grammar nerd on you. It's "Whoop That, comma, Trick." So "Whoop That Trick" as opposed to "Whoop That Trick." But they're in Memphis. They've chanted that for years during WWE events. They've chanted that at Memphis Grizzlies games, before Trick Williams was even a concept in WWE. So
yes, I remember that.
That's why it was being chanted. They were not chanting for him. They've done it before. Maybe some people in the crowd who didn't know that were chanting for him, but he is insanely over. It was not why they did it on Raw. I just wanted to clarify for everyone.
That's fair enough. So it like his entrance theme, I think it's the biggest pop of anybody in the company right now. When those trumpets hit, like it's all working, and to the point where you wonder if they should turn him babyface, because usually you don't want people chanting for the heel when he's entering, but I don't know, maybe they just want the badass cocky heel that people like. It's working, and Trick obviously should have won this. He's doing a good job.
I want to be clear when I say this. I'm not talking about overall talent. I'm not talking about in-ring ability. I'm just saying no one in WWE has been closer to the aura of The Rock than Trick Williams right now. And again, that is not about getting cheered. Cody was massively over. Roman Reigns has been massively over. Becky Lynch, so on and so forth. But coming to the ring, shit talking as a heel, getting cheered like a babyface, flashing the jewelry, having the presence. It's the closest thing to The Rock that WWE has had since The Rock. And it's astounding. It really is.
You know what it feels like? It feels like LA Knight a couple of years ago, who had the same
it's
thing.
Kind of beyond that,
waiting for in a different type of Rock way, but they were all waiting for his catchphrases because they wanted to be a part of that. And LA Knight was getting the biggest pops when his music would hit. It's a different kind of Rock, but I can see what you're saying.
LA Knight, you have a case to make there because it was a natural, organic. He was a heel, but still getting cheered kind of thing. But he was really a babyface, and also.
Yeah.
They wanted to chant, yeah, for LA Knight, specifically. Yeah. Whereas Trick is getting stuff over, like the equivalent of poontang pie. Or do you smell what The Rock is cooking? He's got lemon pepper steppers over. I mean, that's wild. He's talking about his shoes, man. And I don't know. I watched this segment in Dallas. And I said, that arena would have imploded if The Rock came out. If you had a Rock and Trick Williams segment, and Rock would completely outclass him. Let's be crystal clear about that. But those two guys together in the same ring, sharing it just from a promo standpoint, the aura radiating off of them. I mean, we said this, or Silver King said this at least, because you don't watch NXT as much. Trick is never going to be the best in-ring performer. He's a little bit awkward. He's a little bit tall and muscular. And again, his moveset doesn't fit the type of wrestler he should be. He should be a power wrestler with flash, not a flashy wrestler with power. But every single part of Trick Williams, since he split from Carmelo Hayes in NXT and he got called up to the main event level on NXT and now getting called up to the main roster in WWE, every single thing that we have seen from him, the way he connects with fans, says WrestleMania main eventer. And this on Friday night was proof of that.
Should he win the U.S. title at Mania? I'm kind of thinking so.
I got to tell you, dude, you're asking Carmelo Hayes is champion. I was like, who's even champion? The reason why he shouldn't is if you're talking about a one-on-one match with Carmelo Hayes. It feels too early to run their feud on the main roster. Not enough time to talk about their past and really get back into it again. But if they did a multi-man match, if they did a 5-man ladder match for the U.S. Championship, because we'll talk about this in a bit, but Carmelo Hayes kind of indicated that open challenge may not be open every single week going forward. If they close it and they do a 5-man ladder match or something equivalent to that, a 4-person, regular match, whatever, a fatal 4-way, and he won but didn't pin Melo, I would completely buy that, yes.
Yeah, could be.
AJ Lee pretty much followed suit with what her husband did about a half hour later on Raw, similarly cutting a solo promo in the ring. She shared that it was fun and easy getting under Becky Lynch's skin, reminding that she hasn't wrestled a singles match in a decade, let alone fought for a title. You probably shouldn't be saying that ahead of you getting a championship match, girl. AJ spoke about the Divas Championship negatively at first, given it was a sparkly butterfly, but she said she made the title and turned around the women's division, even telling the locker room, "You're welcome." She teased matches with the stars of today before refocusing on Bex, saying she gave Lynch a 10-year head start and she still hasn't caught up to her. And I'm sitting here thinking, AJ, who the hell do you think you are? Suggesting you've accomplished more or have a greater legacy than Becky Lynch is straight up insanity. That's something a heel would say. AJ did recognize that she wouldn't be wrestling again without Bex, but now that she is back in the ring, she wants to prove that she can be a champion. Lynch mocked Lee for believing that she can have a title run, saying this will be a retirement match in front of her family, and it's an opportunity she's never deserved. Bex said that she's been making history while AJ has been making comic books. Good, accurate line. But when they got face-to-face with AJ literally yelling, daring Bex to swing at her, like her husband did earlier to Finn Balor, Lynch said she wouldn't give Lee an excuse to avoid their match and spiked the mic. Considering the Punk and AJ segments were so similar, it would have been really cool to see them backstage earlier in the show, plotting stuff out, even if we couldn't hear them doing it, or maybe celebrating after the fact, because they both got the best of their heel rivals in similar fashions. It was a necessary tie-in to make both segments work better, and I just felt like that was a huge miss by creative. AJ was far better on the mic here than last week. But man, something is not working for me. Her ego in this feud is massive, and it truly feels like WWE's overestimating her popularity. Becky ran a similar feud with Trish Stratus that was eons better the way it was put together. AJ's out here talking like it's 2014 and she's the best woman in the entire company, and WWE's lucky that she's back. You could argue that was true in 2014, even though it was not, but it's not a conversation starter in 2026. She needs to modernize what she's doing out there, because what she's doing is dragging the Becky character down, because Lynch needs to now over-animate herself to, basically match what Lee is saying and doing and having it make sense. I'm so mixed about this. I want to like it, but each of the last 2 segments has left me feeling like, meh. I don't even want to grade it because it's neither good nor bad. It's just happening. And you know what? That's not what we should be saying about a Becky Lynch feud going into WrestleMania. So for that reason, I'll break my tie in the middle. I'll say light bad. I need better from both of them. But really, it's AJ who, because of the role that she's playing, is forcing Becky into a role that's more ridiculous than what she was doing previously.
So going back to AJ, back in the quote unquote old days, she had kind of had two characters. She was like the crazy girl who you didn't know what was going to happen, or she was the kind of smug person talking down to the total divas and that type of stuff.
And this is the latter as a babyface.
And the problem here with Becky is you have two wrestlers who are kind of being smug toward each other. And that doesn't make for an interesting story or a conversation. Like, somebody has to be, just like a match, somebody has to be underneath, somebody has to be telling a story. And instead they're both trying to say like, you're not worth my time. Neither of us are worth each other's time. Where's the inherent conflict in that? There isn't one. And I think that's where you need to find a different kind of character for AJ, but that's kind of what AJ has always been. And so it results being Becky kind of having to flail around out of control while AJ stays calm. And it makes for a strange dynamic. I also didn't understand, why didn't Becky punch her? She's the heel. AJ's giving her this clear shot. Is there a reason I'm missing why Becky wouldn't do that? What's up?
What she said in this situation was that she didn't want to beat her so bad that she gave AJ an excuse to avoid their match.
Right.
And put it off, basically.
Which is not a heel thing to do. It's a smug thing to do. Like, it's just very weird. Like, she should have taken the cheap shot. She should have beat her down.
Well, that's the thing. They forced a parallel to the CM Punk segment earlier that made a lot more sense for Punk going up against three dudes in a faction, and made less sense in this situation where it's the challenger, the babyface, who should be attacking in theory, to your point.
Yeah. Like into its all, man, like, she's really beat up AJ. Can AJ get to the match? Like, there's no story for this match right now. And they just had an opportunity to do one and didn't take it.
Well, I disagree that there's no story. I just think it's not a successful story. Those are two kind of different things.
I would say the story is someone from the past fighting someone who's more of the present, but
it's AJ. It's AJ getting under Becky's skin, goading her into an opportunity that she doesn't deserve in terms of the kayfabe. Like, she hasn't won matches. She hasn't been a singles competitor recently, but she does deserve based on her history and her wanting to prove that she can still be a champion. And the problem is, like, we've talked about this. I don't want to go too deep into it because we have a lot more to cover, but Becky Lynch, when she was at the mid to later stages of the character that she's in, she had the Intercontinental Championship as the most important women's singles title in the entire company, over the WWE Championship, over the Women's World Championship. It was the Intercontinental title. It was the best matches, the best storylines, everything. And I was okay with her beating Lyra and Valkyria not getting the title back. It was okay. But what they have done since is put her in feuds with primarily Maxine Dupree, which completely dropped the level of the title from upper mid-card, which is where Becky put it, to lower mid-card. Now they've come out of that feud, which Becky didn't win, I don't believe, any of the matches clean, and lost many of them, right, due to a variety of circumstances. And now they have her feuding with AJ Lee, who herself said she hasn't wrestled a singles match, let alone a title match, in a decade. So what you've done is take this woman, Becky Lynch, arguably the best in the entire company. I'd say inarguably, but a lot of people love other people, and taken her from a position where she was elevating a title and elevating a division, where she's now just trying to get through a WrestleMania match with a legend. And if they flip this title to AJ Lee, dude, I don't know what happens to it.
Oh, I think they. Well, I'll save it for the predictions, but I think there's a good chance they do that. Along the way, though, Becky went from kind of like being a serious heel champion to being a cartoon character now, and so everybody's dynamic is just a little.
But you know what? I think the cartoon character that she was, because clearly it's mocking someone in reality, it was working. But now that she's feuding with AJ, she's had to take that to another level of exaggeration that has blown it up pretty much. She needs to get back to being mocking, but serious, as opposed to mocking and a clown. And it feels like she's more in the clown mode right now. But not that dissimilar from her husband. When he was doing Seth frickin' Rollins, it was working for a long time. And then he became a clown. He became a caricature of himself. And that's when it didn't work. And Becky's not there yet, but it's bordering on Becky, that with AJ.
No, and by the way, Becky's not the bigger problem here. It's that they
AJ's
don't quite seem to know what. Yeah. It seems to be they're just not quite sure what AJ is.
We
can move on. We've been going.
No, I know the word I keep looking for on this though. It's compensating. Becky's overcompensating for AJ's failures, and because of that, it's also hurting her own character. That's what I was trying to say. One last thing, and then we will wrap up. I didn't realize this until late Monday. It is kind of odd that Punk and AJ moved from feuding with Seth Rollins and Becky, another married couple, to Finn and Becky, a former item when they were younger in Ireland. Granted, Balor and Lynch, they're not working together on screen, but both sides of the Punk household are feuding with Irish people who had a prior relationship. That would be quite a go-home tag team match next week on Raw. Zero chance it happens, but I would absolutely love that next week.
That's the way they would have done it in the Attitude Era, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We had Alexa Bliss against Zelina and Julia in an Elimination Chamber qualifier on SmackDown. Zelina, in a same promo package as her husband, which we'll talk about in a little bit, said she saw cracks in the friendship her opponents held, predicting that change would come to the division once she gets into the chamber. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair ensured that they were still friends after the Royal Rumble, with Flair celebrating Galentine's Day by giving Bliss flowers and a signed picture of herself. They were black flowers. Charlotte then made a pun about wooing her from ringside. This was probably the cutest of their segments together, and it was a really nice added touch to close the loop on the Royal Rumble. Charlotte's gimmick is basically trying too hard to have a friend, but never developing the skills to have friends because she's a Flair. It's kind of great, and I hope no matter what happens through WrestleMania, they stay together, because it's working better now than it has been, and they've been doing this for months already.
Yeah, that was really good.
So Zelina comes out to Aleister Black's entrance. And dude,
It look good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
You know what that means. The Hey Now Championship is officially on the line. Jordynne Grace and her big gun moment, defending against Zelina in all black, writhing her body around like a snake coming out for this match. Chris, I've let you go first a couple of times recently. One of them to my detriment, because you made a call that Silver King did not. Zelina in this entrance was pure Hey Now. She's the definition of it. Master Chef, Lord of the Kitchen Cupboard. And as far as I'm concerned, she's the winner.
Folks, we have a new champion, Zelina Vega. I am with you. I wrote it down in my notes. I was going to bring it up for the challenge if you didn't. So once you did, it was a clean sweep, clean 1-2-3 finish, a dominant championship match from Zelina Vega.
And new Hey Now champion, Zelina. Julia hit a beautiful avalanche butterfly suplex late in the bout. Bliss delivered a double natural selection coming back. Zelina responded with an avalanche belly-to-back suplex on Julia, so she answered by headbutting the shit out of her. Julia got knees up to block Twisted Bliss, only to eat an extremely rough Canadian destroyer that was supposed to be a sunset flip powerbomb with a similarly rough cover following. Julia broke up a cover on Bliss's old DDT finish, getting half of Arrivederci, adding the Northern Lights bomb for a broken fall on a spot that really should have ended the match. Julia got knocked outside. Zelina did a new emote, bending backwards in the ring, and Bliss caught her running off the ropes with an attempted tope, hitting Abigail DDT to advance. This was a well-composed triple threat. It was ultimately not wrestled cleanly, and it featured, in my opinion, the wrong winner. Zelina was better than she had been in the ring recently, yet she had that poor spot I mentioned. Bliss has more star power, sure. She adds absolutely nothing to the chamber match. Julia would have benefited from the spotlight and the opportunity. By the time SmackDown ended, all 6 qualifiers were basically eye rolls, incredibly predictable, not at all fresh. The grade here is borderline. I wish the execution was better. This was the only time during SmackDown on Friday the crowd was quiet the entire night. I'm saying light bad. It was the worst match on the show. Nothing awful, but a boring winner, not that well wrestled, despite the formatting and planning of the match being really well done by whoever produced it.
I realize I have been grading the last couple of things here. I am going to give this a bad. I'm going to give the AJ Becky thing a bad as well. It just, part of me is like, yeah, Julia, new face, put her in the match, kind of like the Javon Evans spot. But also, she's currently a champion, and I hate all this double champion stuff. Dominic was going for a double championship. Julia's going for it here. You're right that Alexa just kind of adds nothing, I guess. Is it just that, Alexa does have a very big fan base, and you want her in the chamber because that's what it is. But I don't know, like, it's not relevant to the story. Maybe she'll do a Twisted Bliss off the top of a thing again, but it doesn't add much.
It's the fan base. It's perhaps they do something with Charlotte and Alexa because they're partners, just like they did at the Royal Rumble, but they already did that. They did it a month ago in January. So to me, that's not a reason. And yeah, that's my fault as host of the show, not ensuring that you graded every segment. Did you give a grade for Phoenix and Trick? I assume it was good, if so.
Yes, good.
Yeah, no, I do completely agree with you there. When this was over, I was thinking to myself, you guys might as well just announce Io and Charlotte as the next 2 qualifiers. Like, don't even bother with the matches. If they're not going to be in this, I'd be absolutely shocked. I'd be floored. The other Elimination Chamber qualifier over on Raw, Bayley, Asuka, and Natty. All 3 competitors got short promos ahead of the match. Asuka stood out the most as usual. No surprise, this was a super fluid match, given there were 3 veterans who can work. Bayley landed an elbow drop on Asuka, only to take a German suplex from Natty on the ring apron. As Natty was taking stock of what she did, Asuka literally pulled her through the ropes for an Asuka lock. Looked awesome. Natty escaped a really strong Liger bomb, maybe the singular best move she's hit in a decade. Bayley broke a sharpshooter, helped Asuka land a hip attack, pulling her off the ropes for Bayley to belly false finish. It fooled the crowd. They thought that was the end of the match. Asuka then avoided Rose Plant. Bayley kneed Natty off the ropes, and Asuka caught her coming back, winning via submission via Asuka lock. I love Bayley, but Asuka was the right winner here, considering how often she and the Kabuki Warriors have been on the other side of matches recently. Plus, she actually feels like a more fresh chamber participant, at least more fresh than Bayley would have been. And the match needs heels too. I don't understand why people were crying about Bayley tapping out to an established submission finisher. Do you want heels to win clean occasionally or not? The work was super strong in this match. There were a couple false finishes that really hit. There was a sequence where Asuka and Natty beat the shit out of each other. Good work by all.
This was a great match. I wanted Natty to win. I am super into what Natty's doing. She looks focused and clear-eyed,
rejuvenated,
smooth. Yeah, she like that Asuka stuff with her, like you were saying. I was like, man, I would love more of this. And Asuka was ultimately a fine winner, but they're kind of in the tag team picture, and it's like, do we need them here? I would have loved. I want a big singles run for Natty right now because the crowd, I will say, doesn't seem to fully be buying Natty as a badass yet.
They don't
you
care.
Probably need you need her to get some wins. You need her to be fearsome and have people take her seriously. But the look is there and the work is there. I would love to see more from this Natty because I'm super interested in what this is doing. But Asuka instead makes sense, but Natty jumped out to me in this match.
Yeah, she's the bigger star. She's going to get a better match. Also, again, they needed heels in there that are established. And beyond that, though, to the point you made, it feels like the women's chamber is just all halves of tag teams. Now, we've said before, again, I repeat this so many times on the show, I'm so glad WWE is doing what we talked about for such a long time with the tag team division. You have singles team up. That way they can work in the tag team division while simultaneously pursuing singles glory. That's great. The problem is every person, I think, except for one in this match, is part of a tag team. And it seems like the 2 remaining spots are going to be those tag team people as well. And 2 of them might be the actual champions. And that's where it becomes problematic. If it was one person from each of these tag teams in the chamber, okay, that makes all the sense in the world. That's how it should be. But you're putting all the partners in there, and that is what's frustrating. Regarding Natty, Maxine Dupree briefly attacked her on the stage, leading to a pull apart. During a subsequent break, Maxine cut a promo on Natty, refusing to be held down, promising to continue getting up. She had way too much makeup on, which made her look really odd on TV, but she was wearing all white and silver, which was a really nice visual. Natty needs to kick the shit out of Maxine. Like whenever they have their match, I know, but she did. It was just not a match. The bell never rang.
Yeah.
She needs to murk her. And that's the only way she can be established. If they go 50-50 for 10 minutes and Natty just wins, I mean, she's dead. Or if Maxine, heaven forbid, wins, it's over already.
I think the ceiling for this new Natty is higher than the ceiling for Maxine. And
way higher.
Sometimes you have to make a choice. And if you go 50-50 and back and forth and these two fight forever, nobody is going to look better out of it. I just see, again, I just see so much potential in this Natty. She's just jumping out on the screen. So like put in the work, you can build her up as a top heel.
They've done well enough with Maxine to make her a viable future challenger and someone who can wrestle on TV. And you believe, oh, she might actually win that match. That's all she needs to be. A lower mid-carder who can elevate to a mid-carder. Trying to do anything more with her, like they did with the Intercontinental Championship, it is going to fail because she's just not there. And I don't know that she ever will be. Natty, there's a lot of people probably listening to this saying, what are you guys talking about? Like, Natty just isn't hitting for me. And I get that. For a lot of people, Natty's dead and because of Natalya, and there's no salvaging her and whatever, and she's older and she should be taking falls and all that. It's okay if she takes falls. You got to reestablish her as something. And this character, it works. When you see her on screen, you go, she actually looks like a badass. She works like one. She's laying it in stiff. And I believe in this Natty. I'm not saying she should be a world champion, but could she hold the Intercontinental title legitimately for a short run as a transitional champion? Absolutely, as far as I'm concerned.
Or you can give her a championship run as a transitional into your new big star or something like
Someone
that.
You want to make.
You know she can go. Like Seth Rollins and Becky were doing the interview rounds for Unreal, and I think, they were asked who's the best worker you've been with, and Becky said Natty.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Natty sometimes gets dinged for being in the Divas era, and people think, oh, she was only a good wrestler because she was in the Divas era. No, she's a really good wrestler, and you can see it when she's up against someone like Asuka and people who can really go. She just rarely has that opportunity, and she's doing the Maxine stuff right now, so it's again limiting her full arsenal.
Yeah.
But I would go all in on this Natty. I would.
People really forget the Becky-Natty relationship. It's actually detailed in both of their books, which I do suggest you guys read if you haven't yet, because both of them are really good. Becky's is better, but nevertheless. Tiffany Stratton opened SmackDown cutting a full babyface promo, saying she had an incredible rookie year and is back to win the championship because it misses her. Nia Jax and Lash Legend interrupted with Lash mocking Tiffy's catchphrase, saying she got lucky last week, etc. The crowd was pretty hot chanting Tiffy time, as much as it may bother me. When the heels went after them, the champions emerged for their scheduled match. Rhea Ripley did a general threat about both of them teaming an Elimination Chamber and retaining here. There was clearly not much to this, but it was nice to see the women compete last week opening the show, and it was a smart way to integrate Chamber into the tag team storyline. Stratton needed much more depth to her promo for it to matter. It was entirely surface level, as always. And really, it was a mistake to not turn her heel in her return. But if she's staying face, it was a horrendous missed opportunity and a waste of time to not develop something a little bit deeper with her character because she just came back. Why were you gone for so long? I was taking stock in myself. I realized I wasn't good enough. I was good enough to win the title. I wasn't good enough to hold on to it. I realized that when I went up against Jade Cargill, there's another level I can get to, and I've been training for it because I've only been in this business for 5 years, and despite that, I've already had so much success, but I want to be the greatest wrestler the WWE's ever seen. That was off the cuff from me. I'm not saying what I just did was a great promo or anything like that, but it was 100 times better than Tiffy coming out saying, the championship misses me, it's Tiffy time. That's her entire gimmick. Why should we give a shit about her? This was bad.
It was bad. I was stunned this opened the show, frankly. Part of it's on Tiffy, like her whole promos and sarcasm. It's the only way she talks. It's whatever it is. But a lot of this is on WWE. Mm-hmm. They're the ones not giving her a deeper character. And I don't know why. Like they clearly see so much in her to be in these big spots, to open a show. Like where is the extra effort to add more to her? She's still incredibly young and she could do so much more in this business. It's got to evolve, and they're just not doing it for her.
You're 100% right. Stratton later backstage had a relatively nice exchange with Jordynne Grace before Chelsea Green bumped into her with her braced foot. She called her tacky time, angry that she took her spot at Elimination Chamber, wanting an apology and compensation. Tiffy made a snide remark, and that was it. Nothing gradable here. So we got the women's tag team championships. Ripley and Io Sky defending against Jax and Legend. Io took a Samoan drop only for Rhea to get the hot tag, but Lash stopped her from cleaning house, halting a springing tornado DDT attempt cold. Jax took a nasty bump on a similar tornado DDT because she didn't get herself over well enough. Ripley then powerbombed her out of the corner with an over-the-moonsault chaser for a broken fall. Legend shoved Ripley into the pile. Lash brutalized Io into the announce table and kept her ringside, leading to a double countout, a boo from the crowd, and a post-match brawl. Legend booted Ripley in the face and put her on the regular table, with Jax going to the ropes for something that could have been absolutely insane if she actually jumped off. Instead, we got something slightly less insane, but still fitting the definition. Io spearing Nia through the ropes, tailbone first, through the table. It needed to be about 6 inches closer, but still, that was a really sick spot. Lash then tackled Rhea through the barricade for good measure. This went way harder than I could have anticipated. I almost wish I could grade the post-match as part of the match because they were banging all over the place. The bout itself was good. When you add the chaos afterward, it was a no-doubter from that standpoint. Not entirely sure why the champions could not have retained clean. We'll have to see what happens coming out of it. But it had me ready to go for a rematch and real curious about what's next when I assumed coming in that it would be a relatively simple retention. It really should be a 5-way title match with some big stipulation at WrestleMania. But as I already said, this was definitely good.
Definite good. At the beginning of this match, Wade Barrett says that the women's tag division is the hottest division in wrestling. And you know what? I agree. Like, it is loaded. They're putting on great matches. It's the kind of thing you're right. I want to see a 4-team, 5-team match at Mania. It's probably not something you main event a show with, but it might be something that steals the show because for all the criticism WWE has deserved for the men's tag divisions, for the women's singles championship divisions, this women's tag division has been awesome. And show after show, night after night, you're just getting a banger of a match. And I really hope they nail the landing on this because when they did this for the men a couple years ago, they built it all up and threw it all away for the Wyatts. So please don't do that here. They've got something great here. And match was awesome.
Yeah, it's not just about, to your point, it's not just about building all this up for WrestleMania. I'm pretty confident they'll stick the landing at WrestleMania. It's coming out of that show, keeping the division hot. It doesn't need to be the best women's division in the company, but it cannot dip all the way back down to like what's happened with the Intercontinental Championship. It needs to maintain a pretty hot level of quality because there's enough teams, there's more than enough teams, and enough talented wrestlers in those teams to keep it going. By the way, Nia and Lash are being referred to by WWE as the Irresistible Forces, which is a perfectly good tag team name. The problem is, I don't believe it was used on television to the best of my knowledge. I saw it on their online highlight page. I saw it on a breakdown of the card online on their website. I didn't see it in their bottom third graphic, and I don't believe they were announced as such either, unless I missed it while watching live.
Also, technically, based on the phrase, aren't they supposed to be the immovable objects?
Well, no, irresistible forces because they're attractive women, and they're forces. That's why they're going with that half of it.
It's often used as like the quick thing,
of course.
Like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, they use that phrase. And Andre the Giant was the immovable object, and they're obviously big, so it works both ways, honestly. So you're right because they do look great.
But it's a good name. They should be using it. Is my point. Like they got to use that freaking name.
I agree.
That's the point.
Agree. Give these tag teams some names. At least Rio's something.
It's something, right? And they're using, and like Charlexa, they're trying to do also. Those are the most boring names when it's just two things jammed together, but at least they're using something. Irresistible Forces is a real tag team name. Let's utilize that for them. Please and thank you. Io complained to Rhea backstage, but Ripley insisted Sky focus on her qualifying match next week. Julia then freaked out and had to get calmed down by Kiana James. Rhea talked trash to her. Io stood up to Julia, saying she'd pin her again and take her United States title. Don't tease me with a good time. And then they started arguing before James pulled Julia away. Jade Cargill then walked by, staring them both up and down, one after another. Julia twice on the show. Jade interacting with more people. Some interesting possibilities involving all five. You know what? This was short but enjoyable. I'm going to give this a bonus good.
Agree. You put Jade and Rhea face to face. I don't know if that happened maybe once before, but it's, it's a tease for something down the road, and it's not in a Royal Rumble match, so I'm okay with it.
And Io with the interactions, Kiana getting words in, it just worked. WWE Women's Championship, Cargill defending against Grace. Jordan got an extended promo package recounting her career, talking about overcoming doubters and limitations, etc. Jade was then part of it, more focused on her physical dominance. There was a lot of concentration about both of them working out, given their obvious physical strength. This was important to fill out Grace more as a character, but it's also something they should have achieved through multiple packages over the prior couple of months since she joined the main roster, rather than just doing it here.
Yes, but still, I loved this, especially for Jordan Grace. She's been up for a few weeks, and they haven't told us who she is. This is the basic vignette they've never really done for Tiffy, and they should do for everybody. Just tell us a basic who you are, what motivates you, how you got here. That little thing for Jordan Grace, I thought did wonders. It just established her as a fully formed person, and we need more of that. So props to WWE for would have loved more, like you said, sure, but I'm glad they did it.
I want to see Oba Femi. He's Nigerian, right?
Yes.
I want to see him either in Nigeria or photos of that or him talking about it. I want to see Javon as a kid, jumping around with his friends, wrestling, doing athletics, whatever. We need to see these wrestlers as humans, and especially when they're baby faces, having a reason to actually care about them. And it's okay if you debut Jordan Grace and it takes you a month to get into it. It shouldn't take you 2 to 3 months to get into it. But to your point,
how many times have we seen the picture of young John Cena holding up the paper belt? Right. 1 million times. You can reuse these things.
Totally.
You got to establish it, and then you can come back to it.
100%. They both not only looked great on their entrances, the visual of Jade and Jordan matching up was something. Then, after the bell, Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, and Raquel Rodriguez all enter. They get massive pops. And then they get massive heat because they decided to have a Valentine's Day date ringside with a full table setup and heart-shaped chicken nuggies. There were loud, dirty, dirty Dom chants, and then the wrestling started. Jordan dodged Jade, who slammed her wrist into the ring post, ate a modified flatliner, and took a Vader bomb from Grace, utilizing the announce table. I should know because I completely missed this at the start. Jade Cargill and Jordan Grace.
Oh, we got two big meaty men bumping me tonight.
Anyway, after that Vader bomb, Cargill answered by dropping Grace back first into the barricade, which looked brutal. Jordan hit a jackhammer and a spinebuster before Jade flipped out of a powerbomb and hit her own spinebuster. It actually looked better by comparison. Grace then totally overpowered Cargill into a British Bulldog-style power slam. Great call by Wade Barrett. Jade ultimately flipped out of a torture rack, hitting a huge pump kick and a one-armed Jaded for the clean retention. Then she threatened Liv to her face, saying that she would beat her ass at Mania. She also, earlier in the match, ate a chicken nugget from her plate. I figured this would go hard. I did not expect this to be flat out good. And I did not only enjoy it, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. Solid B-level match right here. And obviously,
Big meaty man slapping meat. That's what I want.
when it began, Wade expressed my thoughts out loud. Quote, "It's tough to focus." In other words, WWE had these two behemoths in the ring. They did a full dramatic ring announce for a championship match. And then they completely turned the attention away from them to an act that, frankly, is much more over. Smart people can argue whether that's the right decision. I was worried initially when the chant started. But to be fair, the crowd did seem to focus back on them rather quickly. Unfortunately, after the commercial break, cameras went back to Liv and Dom so Mysterio could pull out a bottle of Dom Perignon with his face on it, get it? Again, distracting from the championship match. To me, that was unnecessary and completely baffling. But the match was strong, no pun intended. Jordan carried Jade, sure. Cargill pulled her own weight. She's always going to be robotic in the ring, so better to work that way with someone who can accentuate her positives and make her look impressive. Obviously, Grace would have been the more exciting winner, but both of them needed a dub. And considering Jordan just got called up, and this was Jade's first defense in 100 days, Cargill was the priority. I appreciated that it was squeaky clean. I saw people angry about that. You can't complain that WWE doesn't let heels win and then complain when they do. They did it with Asuka and they did it with Jade. That's a positive thing. Grace just got called up to the main roster. No, her WWE run to this point has not been as successful as I would have expected, but I see the main roster as a fresh start, and WWE would not be featuring her as strong as they have been if they didn't believe in her. So I thought they knocked this out of the park, and the match exceeded expectations. I just wish they would have thought a little bit better when it came to Liv and Dom being ringside and how much that distracted at times.
I'm guessing they didn't think the match would be over enough with the crowd that you put another act around it to keep their attention. And it was a classic, just kind of like wrestling thing to do that, to have a Valentine's Day date outside the match. Like it was so like corny pro wrestling that I actually appreciated it. But you're right that the fans did turn their attention back to the match because this match absolutely ruled, man. And I said this in the Getting Over Slack Friday night. Is that the best match of Jade's career? Like however much she was involved or not. I thought it was perhaps the best singles match that she has ever been involved in.
So the other two matches that come close are Chris Statlander in AEW. I'm forgetting which one specifically.
Yep.
And Tiffany Stratton in WWE. Again, I'm forgetting which one specifically because they had a couple. Both of those were real high quality matches where you saw Jade and you go, oh, wow, she can wrestle if she has the right partner. And I would at least put this on par with those. There was a part of me that said, because you and I enjoy the big, meaty women slap and meat aspect of it, had me thinking, this might be the best. But those two matches were really good. The one with Stat was solid. This one might have been better, though. It's possible.
It was so good. And I just, like, sometimes two people get in the ring and you just find out they have unbelievable chemistry with each other. And that might just turn out to be the case with these two. Maybe it's because they're both really strong and they feel like they could work a little stronger with each other. Sometimes bigger women have difficulties working with smaller women and all that stuff. Like, I think they may have found an unbelievable matchup here between these two. I thought this match was fantastic. This was obviously a good. Jordan looks better coming out of SmackDown because they gave her the backstage. She got a title shot. She looked great in it. Jade gets a win defending her title. Like this, they knocked every part of this out of the park. Fantastic. I love this.
Did you officially give it a grade or no? I don't want to have to keep
Yes, it's a good.
Cole sat down with Liv and Dom for a pre-taped interview on Raw. Morgan decided she would not rush her choice because she likes to see everyone scrambling and does not want to waste this moment after working so hard to get here. Stephanie Vaquer immediately interrupted when she said that. She took issue with that comment about hard work and sacrifice, saying it's bullshit considering WWE handed Liv everything on a silver platter, whereas Vaquer fought all over the world just to get to this point because there was no wrestling in Chile, yet she conquered every territory she entered. Then Vaquer told Morgan that she should be embarrassed and ashamed because she hides behind not only Judgment Day, but a man, whereas Stephanie went through hell and made it her own. What was cool was Dom whispering translations into Liv's ear the entire time Stephanie was speaking, and he was simultaneously shouting back arguments and insults at Vaquer in Spanish. The framing of this by production was excellent as well. The result was Morgan crying, Mysterio consoling her, and both of them storming off the set. I said last week that it was Vaquer's best promo since joining WWE. Bump that. This blasted that out of the water por una milla. Stephanie was on fire, and both Liv and Dom did an excellent job selling anger and embarrassment considering what she said. This is what Vaquer should have been doing for months. Though again, to be fair, these heels are the best that she's had to work against since winning the title. It's just a shame that she might drop it on the back end of it because this promo elevated her in a real way. As for Liv, this is a really interesting angle for her. What Stephanie said in many ways was untrue. Morgan has indeed worked her ass off in WWE. She was considered a non-starter in NXT. Many joked that she was playing off of Carmella's gimmick. Then she gets called up as a third wheel in the Riot Squad, and she's dealt with one obstacle after another in terms of injuries. There may not be a woman on the WWE main roster right now who has improved more from debut to present day than Liv Morgan. She broke free from rejection and doubt, external and internal, and she's one of the top women in the company, as well as one of the most over superstars, no matter the gender. So in that respect, despite Liv being a heel, you kind of felt sympathy for her crying like she did, and it made me wonder whether this was a face turn or simply comeuppance. Because on the other hand, she's someone who has literally spent the last few years laughing in the faces of baby faces and telling them, cry about it, literally. Yet Vicaire has been the first woman to truly get under her skin, which makes Stephanie look strong. I'll tell you what, this is shaping up, Chris, to be a hell of a WrestleMania feud, and perhaps one of the better built matches involving either women's world title, maybe the best in the last few years when you consider how much we have criticized all the other ones. Easy, good. And you know what? This might have been the best part of Raw on Monday night.
It's good. I wouldn't go as far as you did to say compared to years past. It's been a couple of weeks of good now. But it's back in the right direction. See, I wish that Vicaire's promo was transcribed live. I didn't see the transcription until you tweeted it out, in which I rewatched it and was like, oh, this is actually really good. But when I first watched it, I didn't get that. It meant nothing to me because I didn't know what they were saying. So I wish they could have prepared that a little bit better. It was obviously a tape segment. Just give us the line. When you go to a movie and someone talks in another language, you instantly have the caption there. Why not air that on the live show? I wish they had it because it was a really good promo that made a lot of points. You said what I was going to say, which was that Liv obviously has worked a way to get up to this point, and I'm kind of surprised they went that way because I had suspected if a Liv kind of face turn was going to come around Mania, I'm guessing that's not going to happen at this point. But when that does happen, then you get the Liv story, perhaps. So this was really good stuff. It feels like we are going Stephanie Liv into Mania, which will be good when they make that official. So good step forward, good stuff overall.
So to speak about the translation aspect of it all, to what you said about live captions, that doesn't play in theory because if you've ever actually watched live sporting with captions, you know it's 45 seconds behind and choppy and really shitty. But no, let me finish what I'm explaining.
Yeah.
WWE, they made a deal on TV to say that they were going to post a translated version on YouTube during Raw. When I went to find it, they didn't do it. It wasn't there. It was just the segment without translation. When Raw ended, on Twitter at least, they posted the translated version. We shared it. I don't know whether it ever made to YouTube. But what I fail to understand is why this was not subtitled when it originally aired, because it was clearly stated at the beginning of the segment that it was a pre-taped interview earlier in the day.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's not live sports because it's not live. The interview wasn't live.
If it was live, okay, no subtitles. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're pre-taping it and your audience speaks English and you're telling them that it's pre-taped, why is production not taking that extra step, both in reality and in kayfabe? This is another unforced error of WWE production. There is no reason that anyone should have had to seek out the translation of this segment because it was taped. If it was live, totally fine. No issue with them speaking Spanish live. Make people find it, go to your social media after the fact. But that, to your point and to my point, was absolutely ridiculous. It was just dumb.
Yep.
Rio got interviewed backstage at Raw. Ripley talked shit about Jackson Legend before Kairi Sane returned, interrupted Io, praised Asuka, and was proud of her for already being in the chamber, promising to ensure that they never win. Asuka shoved her aside, making sure Kairi knew it wasn't about ensuring that Io and Rhea didn't win. It was about Asuka actually winning and then eventually becoming champion. Asuka then screamed at Rio. Io tried to check on Kairi when Asuka left. She had clearly been victimized and abused more than we have seen coming out of the Royal Rumble. There wasn't much other than that, but I'm glad WWE has not moved away from this feud just because Rio won the titles. It's still a total curiosity what's planned for WrestleMania when it comes to the division, but considering so many teams have not been eliminated from contention, as you and I spoke about a couple minutes ago, doing the multi-team match should be Kabuki Warriors, it should be Rio, it should be Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend. Clearly, the Bella Twins are going to get involved. If you do that match, Charlexa TBD as well, I mean, that is going to be a mega match for WrestleMania, and I think fans would go absolutely crazy for it.
Completely.
And Julia and Kiana James is another option as well. Carmelo Hayes backstage. Oh, you didn't give a grade. Good or no?
Oh, yeah. Didn't realize we were grading that, but good.
Carmelo Hayes backstage got props from Apollo Crews and Matt Cardona, who put Melo over for his success, and both of them noted they were coming after him through an open challenge eventually. Then he came across Miz, Hayes did, reiterating that he will not get a title shot. I should hope not, bro. You beat him squeaky clean last week. Miz said he'd teach him a lesson in respect, and then they got into a mini argument over grammar. Melo got his promo interrupted by fans chanting his name before saying he's been trying to respect those that came before him while putting on
Banger
matches. Hayes called himself the USA champion, a take on what he used to say as North American champion in NXT. Then he said he would qualify for Chamber next week. The crowd yelled, "Melo, don't miss with him." And then he introduced Ilya Dragunov as a deserved challenger. After Dragunov made his full entrance, MFT emerged, with Solo Sikoa wanting Dragunov in the back of the line, considering he already lost to Hayes. Ilya brought up MFT not being around for Solo last week. Sikoa got heated. The faces wanted to fight and perhaps challenge for the titles, tag team titles. But instead, MFT attacked 5-on-2 with Cruz, Cardona, and a late arriving Shinsuke Nakamura saving. Shin got his full entrance, a big pop, and a serenade from the crowd. And then Nick Aldis sauntered out and made a Texas-sized 10-4, a 10-man tag team match. Playa. What's funny about this segment is I would have criticized this like 5 or 6 years ago. But you see this stuff so rarely in WWE these days, I found myself enjoying the nostalgia of the setup of a random 10-man tag team match. I hate to draw the comparison, but if you look at how much reason was created for this match within like 10 minutes of showtime, you saw how WWE made the fans suddenly care about a match that on paper, they likely would have been indifferent about coming into the show. Compare that to another promotion where matches just wind up on TV for no reason, and I'm not sure I can paint a better night and day comparison between the booking of both of the brands. Anyway, as far as the actual content, Melo getting props from the veterans, I thought that was cool. Continuing the angst with Miz, it's a head scratcher. Hayes just beat him clean, as I said. Showing Melo to be a fighting champion hungry for more, that was well done. And bringing out Nakamura last, the way they made him feel like more of a star than he has in a long, long time, I gotta tell you, that was impressive. He's getting consistent, sustained, positive audience feedback. And people haven't rooted for him like this in years. So if you can't tell, a setup that I would have said bad to 5 or 6 years ago is an easy good in 2026, at least involving these guys on this night.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. Like we said, a lot of SmackDown did a really good job of building to things that happen later in the show. Jordan and Jade did that. The Elimination Chamber main event did that. This did that. It's so often that backstage with Cardona and Cruz and Melo that would be it. That would be the only thing on the show.
Right.
And it's just like, well, we got him on TV for a second. But then they built off of it, and they built off of it pretty quickly. It all made sense in this universe. It's different people interacting and coming together. I've criticized earlier in the show, I criticized that people only fight the same people over and over. This was totally fresh and different. You combined a bunch of different people from a different story, and I was into it. I thought this was great.
So it's good for you. Melo had a strong hot tag with La Mystica. Nakamura basically ate Crossroads from Tama Tonga. I forgot what he used to call that. Cardona delivered 2 Rough Riders. Tonga then dominated Melo and Ilya, which was a surprising spot. Tala got held back to eat a Kinshasa. JC Mateo landed his swinging German suplex. Dragunov murked him with Torpedo Moscow H-bomb, but Sikoa broke the fall, threw him into the post. Sikoa then ate first 48, but Tama tagged in blind and shoved Melo off the top rope into a Samoan spike. Dragunov murked Sikoa with Torpedo Moscow, and Tama landed Cutthroat on Melo to win and pin the champion. Wyatt Six shut off the arena lights and appeared in a seating area as MFT were celebrating after the bell, and nothing happened after that. The latter part was nothing. This match was pretty freaking chaotic. While I noted the setup for the match was like anti-AEW, the way that tagging completely disappeared in the latter part of this bout, it was very AEW. Though that's less of a problem in 10-mans and more of an issue when it's 4 or 6 people wrestling. Other than the Tala spot with Melo and Ilya, which was totally unnecessary, this is a pretty easy good. Some may be annoyed with Hayes losing. The dude took 2 finishers after getting blindsided on a tag. That's a tough loss for him to eat, but it's totally legitimate.
Yeah, fun, chaotic match like you would expect. I was just really surprised that Melo took the pin. like you said, of all the guys in the match, all of these other guys could take the pin. And if it was to then set up Solo and Mello, all right, I'm into that.
Tama
The
and
problem
Mello.
is,
Tama Tonga.
I'm sorry, Tama and Mello,
Yeah.
or Solo and Mello, whatever. Like, I'd be into that. The problem is the MFTs have the tag belts and they immediately went to a Wyatt thing again.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's going on there, but I'll still give it a good.
Two quick items I don't want to forget. One, great to see Cruz back wrestling well. He was injured for an entire year. I believe he completed college while he was out, so congratulations to him. That's big stuff.
Oh, wow.
Two, wasn't the insinuation last week that MFT were abducted by the Six because they weren't there for Sikoa's match? If so, they were back. Solo didn't mention it or have a problem with it, and they all seem to be okay. So isn't that a plot hole?
I don't. Can we just end this thing for the love of God?
The Usos opened Raw, yeeting in the crowd, only to have the festivities cut off by Paul Heyman on the mic for the Vision. Logan Paul bragged about selling a card, I think a Pokemon card, for $16 million, which I'd normally poo-poo as his standard I'm rich, you're not talk. But this had made news and was topical, so it was appropriate.
Yeah.
Heyman threw to Titantron footage from last week's main event, second time that's happened recently. Really nice. Before Austin Theory finally got to speak, though he didn't say anything about himself. Pierce came out, so Theory blamed him for getting screwed. Pierce flipped it, saying their interference distracted security and allowed the masked man through. Heyman refused to give up the ring until Bronson Reed is put in the chamber, but Pierce only put him in a qualifier. F Theory, I guess. LA Knight interrupted wearing his new Unchosen shirt, which is a very interesting wording for a babyface, immediately getting flustered before regrouping, as he always does, hyping up the crowd to an insane level, wanting Reed to qualify so he can beat him in the chamber, and then calling Logan a simple-minded, broccoli-haired bitch, again suggesting a six-man playa. Did we just not cover this 2 minutes ago? Okay, sure, the setup was completely different from SmackDown, but the end result was basically the same. Unlike the Friday night equivalent, which I felt accomplished a lot for the people involved, this didn't do anything but make a TV match. There was enough for a light good. I do draw from the crowd. It was insanely hot for both sides, but the segment was relatively basic.
It feels like the Vision and a lot of the top of Raw is just kind of floating around and doing nothing. I don't know if they're waiting for Seth. I don't know if they're waiting for Braun. The injuries have really messed things up, but it's all kind of going nowhere. I did think that was a good promo by Logan, who just took the mic from Heyman and cut his own promo, like actually pretty well. And Heyman was like his reactions to it were pretty interesting. So look, LA Knight got to look good, fumbled a bit more than usual with his promo a bit, but it was fine, energetic. LA Knight's involved in something important. Good enough for me.
Every time he gets put in a big spot, he stumbles more than he already does every single time he comes out.
He gets too excited. He's got to calm down and slow down a little bit. He gets like 2 lines ahead of himself.
He really should open with his catchphrase, take a deep breath, and then go from there. And it's just not what he does. Knight and the Usos fought the Vision. The Usos wore much better, mostly plain black gear this week. Didn't look like clowns, which was most important. But that did mean 5 of the 6 dudes in the match were wearing black. Jimmy botched an axe handle by slipping off the ropes. Theory did some nice work during the break that few saw. Jay got the hot tag, speared Logan's upper chest, below his neck. I mean, you can't make up how bad this guy is at the spear. Knight took out Theory with a BFT ringside, only to get tackled through the barricade by Reed, the same spot 2 shows in a row. Logan caught Jay with potentially his first zigzag ever for a false finish. Jay flipped out of Pulverizer, then combined with Jimmy for a messy 1D with Reed breaking the fall. He took both Usos out with a tope suicida. Jimmy ate a Logan haymaker and Bronson tsunami for the Vision victory. Logan then ran over, stole Michael Cole's headset to talk shit into commentary, but as he was leaning over the table, the masked man hopped the barricade, landed another stomp. He then stood in the crowd with a camera on him, and WWE just cut away from it. That part was idiotic. Cameras are on this guy who's not leaving the scene. Maybe he's going to take his mask off. Why are you cutting away? He's standing on the stairs, staring down at people. But okay, everything else about this hit, it was 100% the right finish. Vision going over clean, Jimmy taking the fall. That was an absolute must. Really, all 3 Vision guys and Knight did quite well in this match. There's something going on with the Usos, though, man. They're sloppier than ever before. Jimmy regularly messing up. Maybe he's rusty. Jay's spear somehow gets worse. He's not able to hit the 1D finisher clean with his brother. It's really strange. The crowd was red hot for the finish and most of the match. I know people like to criticize the Vision, but this incarnation without a leader, it might be the smoothest of any version because we know their mid-carders And they're operating perfectly as that kind of faction. And as I said last week, but I'm going to repeat it here, Knight should win the chamber match. The reactions he's getting right now are crazy. So despite some issues with the Usos, this was good.
Your point there about this version of the Vision and repeating or thinking back to what I had just said a second ago about Logan's promo, I think the three of them would be better with Logan as the voice and no Heyman. I have felt that Heyman, because of his stature, makes everybody around him look lesser than, and especially without Seth. I would just go with the three of them. Kind of the same way I wish we had Braun and Bronson at the time. I think because we're focused in on them. When it's Paul Heyman interrupting, they all feel like just his goons, you know? It felt more impactful when Logan was talking as the lead guy. And I'll say this. I think you're too hard on Jay's spear.
Dude.
It's just this one, I wrote it in my notes too, because I thought it was a good spear. It's a different kind of spear. It's not a Roman, a Goldberg, a plow through you type of spear. It's more of like a precise glancing, like sniper spear, the way he puts the arms back out. I think it actually looks pretty cool. Not to say it should be a finisher because it's not as impactful, but I'm coming around on actually liking Jay's spear. It's just a different way to do it.
So I would buy that if he always did it the exact same way, but he doesn't. He's hitting upper chest, neck, mid chest, then he's doing a real spear to the gut. It's different every time. And I don't know what it is. If it's inconsistency, his inability to do it. The other issue is like Jimmy does it also now. And they didn't start doing it until the Roman Reigns feud, but Jimmy didn't like beat Roman and then take it from him. He just kind of took it from him and added it to his arsenal when he could have added any number of other moves and been fine. The spear is also overused. Like, okay, Braun Breaker does it perfectly. Roman Reigns does it extremely well. Those are your two guys. Charlotte Flair does a terrible one. Jay does a terrible one. And there's probably other people I'm forgetting that are doing it also.
Charlotte's is way worse than Jay's.
Charlotte's is worse because it has no impact. But both of them are bad. Both of them are bad. And then you had previously Bobby Lashley in WWE, who's obviously in AEW now. He does the one where he like hits you and then flips over, which doesn't make any sense to me.
It's like a glancing blow.
But again, the problem is if you have two people who do perfect spears, which WWE has, you shouldn't have other people doing the exact same move, especially as a setup or a near finish type of move, especially when they're in the exact same family.
That's fair. I just think it's way better than Charlotte's, is way better than Edge's. Like there are definitely worse spears out there, and you just named some of them. So I just wanted to
it's worse than
Jay's
those.
Spear a little bit for what it is.
It's worse than those, but it's
better. Yeah.
Let me correct what I'm saying. It's better than those when it's good, but he regularly does it wrong, and because it's inconsistent, in my opinion, it's worse than those, which are at least consistent. If that makes sense.
Yes, consistently bad, sure. But and to your point, like LA Knight, by the way, like he should win the chamber. Like
he really should.
I agree.
Yeah, he really should.
It's not going to happen because Drew's in a story with all these guys who we were talking about earlier in the show. But LA Knight has been just kept himself over for years now, and in a way that he talked about that people didn't think he maybe would be after that first year. It's a credit to him, and whether it's an IC title or something. You know, he's up there in age. I'd love to get one last notable run out of him, but he absolutely feels like he belongs in these main event type storylines. He always has the aura, so to speak, of a guy who belongs up there.
The problem is, and it's not necessarily wrong, but WWE is basically insisting that Cody Rhodes main event one night of WrestleMania. And there's not a feud that can get him there without a title. The Jacob feud, it couldn't be Cody and Jacob. Even if there's a stipulation, it's not really a main event. You could say, I don't want to put this out there, but Brock Lesnar and Cody, could that get there? Sure. But it's not really an exciting match. I don't think people actually want to see it. And therefore, the only way you can get Cody in that main event is in a WWE championship picture. And in order for him to do that, he needs to be fighting Drew McIntyre, who is now the champion. But personally, I would be much more interested at WrestleMania, Chris, in Drew McIntyre, LA Knight for the WWE title, and Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu in a Hell in a Cell match. That to me would be more interesting than Drew, Cody, and Jacob for the WWE title.
Yeah. And what should have happened was when Seth Rollins got hurt, LA Knight should have taken the belt through Christmas. If you want to have him drop it at the Rumble or something, fine. But there was that moment there where it's kind of a dead period. You could have taken a chance, and they put it on Punk in a very safe move. And Punk has turned out to do a good job with this title reign. The Braun stuff around early January, like that was good.
He's having a great championship reign. He is, legitimately.
He is. But you could have even had him win it for a month or two and lose it to Punk or something. You know, LA Knight doesn't have to be the champion at Mania, but I'd love to see it somewhere.
No, but Knight McIntyre makes so much sense. They have so much history. And Knight is going to be, I'm not going to say he's going to be the most over person in the men's chamber, but he's going to be as over as anyone else in that match.
You know what you do? You bring back I'm pretty sure Eli Drake and Drew Galloway had some stuff together back in TNA back in the day. I think that's when I was watching it at the time. So
yeah, they have history in WWE also though. I'm just saying, like, there's plenty for them to go on for that. And look, maybe somehow, even though they're on different brands, maybe coming out of WrestleMania, if Cody doesn't win the title back or Jacob doesn't win the title or something, maybe they get to that and Knight does win. Maybe he takes Money in the Bank like we've been talking about. I think that should be Dominic, but anyway,
that's how he should win it.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. The quick follow on this segment was Pierce later coming across the vision outside his office. Theory snapped at him, got in Pierce's face, yelled about Logan getting stomped. Heyman insisted that Pierce needed to handle the masked man. Pierce insisted he was just as bothered by it. So Reed followed by calling himself the problem solver, promising to take care of both the masked guy and everyone in the chamber. Reed has definitely needed some type of role or character to set himself apart and perhaps be the alpha in the group. So this segment was basically done to establish that he is the top dog, and you can't be calling yourself tribal thief if you're not continuously feuding with Roman Reigns. So for me, it worked, and I like the way that Reed was positioned here. Pierce backstage came across a human-sized crate that said, "Do not open until 02/28/26, the date of Elimination Chamber." He berated some poor staffer who was holding a clipboard, perhaps a wink wink there, for bothering him with it, then told him to put it on the truck and send it to SmackDown. That way Nick Aldis had to deal with it. Pierce, you could have just opened it. It's not like you have to follow the random stamped words on a wooden box that could have easily been pried open with a crowbar. If it was some type of metal safe or road case with a lock and a countdown clock, okay. I know I'm being a little bit pedantic here for a wrestling storyline, but if the idea is that it can't be opened until a date or a time, make it unopenable. Otherwise, why wouldn't the authority figure at the show immediately want to know what's in a weird, massive package that was just delivered to him?
Oh, what's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
Yeah, I didn't understand why he didn't open it either. It's like you said, like, take the extra second of thought, put a lock on it. The lock has a countdown clock, and you can't open it until then. It's a basic thing. Like, I appreciate them trying to create a mystery, but you gotta take the very first obvious question out of the way.
There have been so many bad/dumb things that have come out of boxes in wrestling over the years. I genuinely cannot wait for this reveal, even if it's for the Schadenfreude of it. The clipboard suggests possibly Chris Jericho, the list. There have been long rumored talks of Danhausen coming into WWE once his AEW contract expires, and him coming out of a box would make sense. But I genuinely would not understand that signing, nor do I believe him debuting at Elimination Chamber would result in any type of significant pop. Though Chicago is a smart crowd. WWE could also do a 1-2 debut return with Danhausen followed by Jericho, or this could be something completely different, and those guys may not even come into WWE at all. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not sure whether I want it to be great or terrible, but either way, I'm curious as hell, and they have both my curiosity and my attention.
So I didn't even really thought about what it could possibly be. I didn't think it'd be a person, because are they just sitting in a box for weeks? How are they eating and going to the bathroom? I don't know. But if it does end up being Jericho, which I hadn't thought of, maybe the countdown clock lock would have given it away. So I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it's Sting to celebrate Seth Rollins' birthday or whatever that was.
Right. That was actually the best box reveal that we've probably ever had.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was supposed to be like a statue or something like that. Isn't that what it was going to be?
It was a statue of Seth, yeah, but it opened up and it was
Sting.
just Sting.
Yeah, that was actually really cool. Okay, so the next couple of segments for us to discuss are involving El Grande Americano, but they require some background from AAA. On the show Saturday, original El Grande Americano sent what commentary said may have been an AI-enhanced video. Speaking perfect Spanish because of the AI, he said he's been the victim of identity theft for the last 6 months, with the impersonator even dating a Mexican woman to try and fool the public. And by the way, El Grande Americano is dating a Mexican woman. He said the other is a fraud and an imposter, and he would prove himself by winning the Rey de Reyes. What a lot of people continue to miss about the use of AI for original is that the entire idea is him creating and sending the videos himself, as opposed to them being produced by WWE. As such, the use of AI is purposeful, not only for him to be disliked, but because the content contained in the video could not otherwise be produced. As a reaction to this, Grande cut a social media promo where he actually snapped and cursed multiple times. Removing the language, he said Original was being incredibly disrespectful. He called him a clown and a coward who doesn't speak Spanish, and he said he's a false prophet who uses the Mexican flag as a prop. He said he crossed the line and would pay the price for insulting the people of Mexico. It was an excellent promo that I'd have played here, except I presume most of you, like me, without a lot of time to listen to the individual vocabulary words we learned in high school and middle school, would probably not understand it live. It's crazy.
I just thought of a new drop for the show. It is Anchorman when he says, I don't speak Spanish to the dog.
Oh, okay. That's possible. We can maybe
every time they do one of these, because it's happening all the time on the show.
I feel like people might misconstrue that though, and think like we're being disrespectful when we're not.
I don't think so. He's just telling the dog. He's telling Baxter that.
Because he's barking.
What Baxter's saying because he doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah, because he's barking at him. Right. But it is crazy how over this storyline is in Mexico. That's what's happening over there. Original is a pure, detestable heel. Grande is a massively over babyface. So moving to Raw. El Grande Americano with Los Americanos backstage was angry that Pierce put Original in an Elimination Chamber qualifier next week. He wanted the same opportunity. Pierce said the match was already set. So Grande pivoted to wanting a chance, an Intercontinental title match. Pierce rightfully declined, but he gave him an opportunity to become number one contender, which was reasonable. Then we saw Original get a commercial break interview saying he did not speak English well, but he would do so out of his native tongue for the audience. And then in perfect English, he criticized Grande for impersonating him and not respecting Lucha Libre. Then he promised he would qualify for Chamber. So that moved in to a Penta versus El Grande Americano number one contendership match for the Intercontinental title. Penta got an updated entrance again visually, and it was the best WWE has given him yet. A bit confusing that Grande was in blue, not green this week. He caught Penta with a seated surfboard-style submission, only to be caught after some struggle for a Penta driver false finish. Grande landed a regular darting headbutt for a false finish, only to see Bravo get pulled underneath the ring while trying to help Grande load his mask. Original emerged, took out Rayo with Chaos Theory before hip-tossing Bravo over the announce table. Penta then caught Grande with a springboard Mexican destroyer for the win and an incredible finish. Penta dapped up Original after the bell. He hit Chaos Theory on Grande, but tried and failed to unmask him as Los Americanos saved at the last moment. I badly wanted this to get another 5 minutes of full work between these guys. On a show like Raw, there's really no reason they couldn't have gone longer. The match was way too short, involving a commercial break. I also wish Penta would have just won clean, but they're telling the Americanos story, so that's obviously fine. Good overall for everything that happened, even if I expected more from the match. Penta being the number one contender is the right decision, especially if the title winds up changing. I really do not see that happening before WrestleMania, as we've said before. WWE right now has crowds in Mexico and America eating this up with a spoon for completely different reasons. That is incredibly tough to accomplish, and they deserve a lot of credit for seeing it through.
It's tough to accomplish. It's also tough to balance.
Yeah.
Like, which way are you going to go? Like, at some point, you unmask somebody. Do you do it in Mexico and unmask Original to get heel heat? Do you do it in America to get face heat? I don't know where you go with this.
Yeah.
I don't watch AAA. I rely on you for my updates. So that is it's a credit to WWE and the guys involved for getting it over the way it is. It also makes it very difficult to land. So curious where that goes. One other thing I wanted to say here, at the beginning of this match, Corey Graves says he doesn't know who Penta is. So he went and talked to him earlier in the day and found out that Penta, like, wrestling saved him from the streets of Mexico and all this kinds of stuff. And I was like, where is that vignette?
Yeah, show
like,
it.
Penta's been like, I'm glad they said it, but I was like, just like the Jordan Grace thing, like, that's the kind of character development that you should be telling us, and tell us within a month of this person arriving. I know Penta's crazy over and everything like that, but man, that's like a great backstory to add to this character that would do wonders. I would have loved to have gotten it in some other way, and you can still obviously do that sometime. But I was like, whoa, yeah, why haven't we actually gotten that vignette? So good on WWE and Graves for at least putting it in there. But would love to expound upon that. And then, yeah, good match, understandable winner, and onward we go.
It just boggles the mind. They do 2 hours and 22 minutes of Raw every week. If they spent 10 minutes to introduce some of these new characters and provide depth to the other characters, you're still at 10:32. You're exiting, and you're not going 3 hours, and everyone feels like the characters are more developed and the show itself is more developed. And the one thing that WWE has always done with consistency, even when creative was at its worst and matches got no time, the one thing they always did was incredible video packages and vignettes. Just lean on your strength and give us this for Penta, for Jordan Grace, for all these people, Obafemi, Javon Evans, Trick Williams, all these people. I want to see Trick at South Carolina playing wide receiver. I want to see Javon as a child. Like, give us depth to these characters and fans will buy into them more. And by the way, with AAA, I do have a couple additional notes. I will get to those at the very end of the show after we're completely done with WWE main roster. But I do need to insist again, it is a 45-minute show without commercials. You can get that through NordVPN. 45-minute show every Saturday on YouTube. It is available. You can watch it whenever you want. You can do it in 1.5 speed if you so choose. You can skip segments that don't involve main roster talent. It is a worthwhile watch. It is an entertaining show, and I wouldn't say it if I didn't truly believe that. Moving on. Fraxium and Motor City Machine Guns again laughed at a depressed Johnny Gargano, who told Candice LeRae his tag team partner is gone, he has no friends, no title, and nothing left. Candice was angry that he ignored the fact that he has her, of course, and literally wheeled him away on a road case, which was funny. The four faces then had some fun before MFT walked by them, bragging about being champions, saying they would each need to get their asses in line. Sikoa then came across a caricature of himself with a lantern fully in his mouth, basically just like the one the Fiend used to carry, so he tore it off the wall. Drawn by Dexter Lumis, I'm sure. The MFT 6 shit was just okay. The stuff with Gargano was certainly better than last week, but this remains a ridiculous usage of two great tag teams from a storyline perspective. So I'm going bad, but it was better.
Yeah, I'm going to go bad. I don't really care. There's so many things going on in WWE. The fact that we're still talking, not everything's going to hit. This is bottom of the card stuff. Not great. Is what it is.
Aleister Black got a brief promo package on Randy Orton. I mentioned this earlier, saying he saw flashes of 2009 Orton in their qualifier, as he's clearly still one of the greats. Black suggested Orton think about what's going to happen if Rhodes is in the chamber match, saying that he would see him soon. Orton Black feels like it should be an impossibility for WrestleMania, but it also seems like that's the exact direction they're going. You know what would have made this mean even more? If Black didn't fight Damian Priest again and lose for no reason whatsoever. Like good, because I did like the promo, and the Zelina part of it was solid as well.
I'll give it a like good because I didn't hate it, but I didn't care much for this.
Priest backstage, standing with R-Truth, was told by Aldis that he would be in a qualifier with Hayes and Williams next week. Kit Wilson interrupted, angry about having to face Obafemi last week, deciding to read a poem to express his anger rather than fight. They all laughed at him, and Priest was about to step up, but Truth decided to show it's Wepa time, popping Priest as soon as he said it, along with Aldis and me for that matter. And then he rhymed back, did his own poem, and completely dominated the segment. This was Truth's best work in a while. All three guys broke like it was an SNL segment. Well done across the board. Kit showed more character, as we talked about wanting last week. Truth probably should have been upset that Damian was getting an opportunity right in front of him, but that's an intriguing qualifier considering those three, Mello and Trick, for the first time on the main roster. Interesting decision. Him saying it's Wepa time, I almost lost my shit. All good here.
Yeah, it was good and funny. And Kit Wilson adding poems here could be fun. It's kind of like, when John Cena was doing the rap, you're always like you're paying attention because you're curious what the rhyme is going to be. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that was good.
You know what, man? I think I figured out how to rehab Priest. Tag him with R-Truth permanently. They have always played off each other naturally. Truth can inject some personality into Priest, and utilizing them as part of the tag team division, it would be better than what's happening there.
I think you may have something here.
What do you think?
It would require having a tag team division, but yeah, I agree.
Aldis offered Obafemi a contract backstage after his Change video package aired. Wilson interrupted with his poetry book, so Aldis took it away and read a poem shitting on Femi, saying he may be big and strong, but he's toxic, and the way he stomps around is like a clown. Oba was entertained, and Kit did not back down from his words, leading to Femi offering to discuss their feelings in the ring next week. Oba also got offered a contract by Pierce on Raw. When he went to leave the office and consider his options, Rusev got in his way for a stare down. Again, nice progress for Wilson. Frustrating that Femi did a couple squashes, missed Raw, and is now going right back to Wilson, it seems, but the Rusev option is far more interesting. And he was also wearing a Happy Rusev Day shirt underneath his exterior layer. Light good on them, getting Oba on TV across both shows. I just want to see him doing a lot more as soon as possible.
The lightest of goods just because of the Kit Wilson promo and the Rusev thing, because I think I've said it before. There's few things that bother me more than the drama over where some NXT person is going to sign, which show they're going to be on Raw or SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares. They're the same thing. And like, it's the least dramatic thing you could do. It's the least impactful way you could have somebody on television. It's not an interesting story whatsoever. Like, just have Obafemi show up and then get attacked by Rusev or something like that. And then they start a feud or something. It's such a waste of someone like Obafemi to be like, oh, do you want him on this show or that show or this show? It's not interesting. And the Change vignette, again, I'm not going to repeat myself from last week, but I don't understand it. Like, Change is not really the thing you think of when you see Obafemi. You think power and dominance and fear. Like, Change is like the CM Punk of it all.
Well, it's him bringing change through his power and his dominance. That's the idea behind it.
I guess it's just a weird, of all the nouns or adjectives to lean on, that's not one I would think of.
No, I agree. It's not as strong as he should be presented. I also agree with what you're saying about what brand he signs with not being an interesting storyline or whatever. The idea behind it is they're presenting him as like this massive free agent, whereas signing Javon was easy and signing Trick and Jordan, all that was easy. Obafemi, there's a bidding war for him. It doesn't work because of the reality of the situation, but that is the concept, and the concept at least makes logical sense, I would say.
It would be if they didn't already do it for 5 other people, like within the last 3 months.
Right. No, I'm with you. Also, just real quick, Kofi Kingston and Grayson Waller got a commercial break promo. They announced that Xavier Woods is injured and recovering from a shoulder issue that he's been nursing. They didn't say he's out indefinitely or anything like that. It wasn't a good segment. Next week's Elimination Chamber qualifiers. We have all 4 of them. Let's give our quick predictions. First, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, and Damian Priest. The only thing I really care about is that it's not Priest. I believe it's going to be Trick.
My pick is also Trick.
Charlotte Flair, Kiana James, and Nia Jax. Some of these matches, like, you can conjure up other options. There is no way Charlotte does not emerge from that pack. And like I said, the women's booking on who's going to be in this match has been way predictable to a ridiculous degree.
I think it could be Nia, but I'm going to pick Charlotte.
Original Grande Americano, Bronson Reed, Jey Uso. Like I said with the first men's match, I just don't want it to be Jey. Either of the other two I'm okay with. I can't imagine Americano in this. It'll be Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed as well.
And Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Raquel Rodriguez. It feels like it will be Io, Rhea, Bliss, and Charlotte all in this match, which is really unfortunate. They'll just be shoving 2 tag team storylines into a number 1 contendership. I hope I'm wrong and it's Raquel, but prediction-wise, it's Io.
I could see Raquel winning this, but the pick is Io.
And lastly, a couple quick notes from AAA this week. Santos Escobar got his first feature since returning, a promo package wearing a Rolex while driving a motorcycle, saying nothing has changed in AAA. Everyone is weak, and he's going to win Rey de Reyes for vengeance and retribution. Not for vengeance or retribution, but because he's the hands of fate. This was better than anything he had done on the WWE main roster. And it was so frustrating to watch because if he was given an opportunity to do this exact segment on main and build off of it, he absolutely would have gotten over. What a shame. There was an incredible dramatic telenovela style vignette of Mini Vikingo's mom visiting her son, Elio Del Vikingo's brother, in the hospital after he got powerbombed to hell by Omos a couple weeks ago. Mini obviously felt betrayed by his brother. His mom was fully acting the entire thing out. It was pretty damn funny. War Raiders won a triple threat number 1 contendership match over Los Americanos and Money Machine, which were fodder to take the fall. Bravo body slammed Ivar in a huge spot. He kicked out of stereo diving headbutts. Weird that they also don't load the masks like El Grande. The Raiders murked all 4 guys, hit Viking Experience on one end, and elevated Flying Splash from Ivar on the other. They legitimately looked rejuvenated in Mexico. And you know what? They stand out in AAA. This was a good move. The match could have been on the WWE main roster, and fans would have loved this. These Money Machine guys, I've never seen them before. I'm in with them. There was also a 6-woman match that totally exceeded expectations, and this new woman, Adelicious, I think her name is, was really impressive. Some good spots in that. So that was AAA Off from the week. Just wanted to make sure you guys knew what else happened. Again, you can watch that on YouTube. Vintage, as we get out of this WWE edition of the podcast, any huge takeaways as this road to WrestleMania thins with less than 2 weeks from Elimination Chamber?
That we still have a lot of time to Mania. 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of time to build good stories. I've been spending the last week or so, and I'm going to do it up until Mania, of just kind of watching old Mania main events. Sometimes, you get in the mood for WrestleMania, watch some stuff. I keep forgetting I have to go to Netflix to do that. I initially go to Peacock and it's not there, and I got to flip over to Netflix. So, no, this is the fun time of year. Bits and pieces aren't good, but interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, to your point, there are exactly 60 days until WrestleMania as we tape this show, so plenty of time. Even coming out of Elimination Chamber, there's going to be 6 weeks, so they can build a ton of stuff between both now and then the Monday after Chamber, and of course, WrestleMania. Also, your point with all the WWE Premium Live events being on Netflix, it is an enjoyable watch experience. Like, they're easy to find via search. You can easily skip through them with the Netflix fast forward feature, which is one of the best in any streaming service. And pretty much everything is there except for the shows from this year, which are all on ESPN because they have ownership of those until that deal ends. So that's a little frustrating. The ESPN experience actually sucks, but the Netflix experience is great.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm like scrolling through like movies and trying to find things, and they're like, boom, here's like St. Valentine's Day Massacre 98. And I'm like,
okay, so that wasn't just me. That was promoted to me last night. Like that's
because Valentine's Day. So
okay.
That must have been what flagged. That must be what flagged it for Netflix.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, when I open Netflix now, rather than getting like all their new releases, it's like No Mercy, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It's like all these random old WWE PLEs. And I think that's pretty cool that they're all on there. And like I said, the experience of watching them and running them back and everything, it is really, really clean. And that is not a VPN thing. And it's no commercials, no matter whether you have a VPN or not, for all the old PLEs, which is pretty cool. All right, that wraps up this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. We will be back on Thursday talking all things NXT and AEW. On the way out, allow the Silver King to remind you that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
It's all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time, leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show on YouTube when you subscribe there. You can listen to the podcast and also watch full-length video interviews. And lastly, please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
Hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Over head. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, exclusive news, analysis posts every week. You do not want to miss all of that extra content on the road to WrestleMania. One more time, buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Thanks once again to Vintage Chris Vanini for joining your boy, the Silver King. It is officially time for us to sign off and leave you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.